ancient, hidden, forgotten. This is Harbor Town. Harbor Town is an all-new series from Miniature Building Authority, the leader in tabletop gaming scenery. Unique, flexible, and playable, Harbor Town will take your games to it.
Ah, goody. Let's see. Hasn't switched over yet, my stream. There it goes.
So, Jay,
Yes, sir.
go to Kickstarter when you get a chance and look up Drakenstone, spelled D-R-A-K-E-N.
I have a little bit of it, actually.
Well, you're going to get more.
Oh, yeah? Awesome.
Yeah, I put in a small pledge. And,
Oh, thank you.
when it comes, I'll throw it at you.
The good thing, I really appreciate that. The good thing about them is that it kind of works a little bit with Dwarven Forge, and I use it. I have it. I use it for overflow, like when I got to move tiles quickly, because if you do a pre-can module, those maps are huge, and you can't put them in Dwarven Forge. It's just not possible. So Drakenstone works well with that. So, yep, awesome. Join the adventure or die. Just kidding. Boy, I say this every night. I got to get a new Reaper ad. It's over a year old.
Well, yeah, you either have to make it yourself or you have to nag it.
Yeah, I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start nagging them.
Yeah.
They got with ReaperCon going on. They're so busy.
Well, Reaper did that big Kickstarter not too long ago.
Yeah, Bones
They
5.
said they're not spitting the miniatures out until 2021 or something.
April, yeah, because I have the ship.
Oh, well, no.
It's all right. I mean, Reaper's a great company, man. They do it.
Oh, yeah. I have no problem with the quality of it. I have a problem with sitting that long and waiting for the thing.
Oh, I know. It's kind of frustrating. Just waiting. It's the anticipation of it actually, of you actually getting all that stuff. I mean, my guy Bill's going to be. I can't even fathom how busy he will be with that much. That much of to do.
I haven't played a miniature in probably 20 years.
Now this is, I love this scene, all the NBA. I have like 90% of that stuff, man. I love the NBA stuff. It's all resin. It's just such fantastic. What's up, Cold Steel Penguin? Can you hear us? Can you hear me, hopefully?
What you're showing there, much of that's not Dwarven Forge.
No, this is Miniature Building Authority. The miniatures, I'm not sure what company they are. Oh, great, thank you. But all that's miniature. That's all the buildings and all, and the walls and all. It's all Miniature Building Authority. Kirk Stevens out of Atlanta, just a great guy, and they were my first sponsor, and I've used their stuff since like 2000 when the company came out. So, oh, look at this. Ta-da! Here he comes. Awesome. Now I can turn Discord off.
When I played with the Neistel family, the two boys were under the impression that they could psychically grab the die and have it do what they wanted it to do if they rolled the length of the table, which was like 16 feet.
That's called bowling for die rolls. We used to do that.
So I said, no, stop doing it. we both know you can't psychically change the die, so let's get over it.
You're not a Jedi.
No. Well, have you guys read the Belgariad?
Parts of it.
Nope.
Back in high school.
Yeah. Belgariad is easily as good as Lord of the Rings in a different way. And it has some wonderful character development.
Dennis, what do you think of that, the Belgariad? Did you ever read those?
No, I haven't actually.
It's good.
His name is escaping me. Belgariad. It's a set of 5 books, followed by another set of 5 books. The second set of 5 books. Oh, wait a minute. David Eddings. That's it.
That's it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
David Eddings.
Yeah, I recognize the name.
Yeah, I think
I
I
haven't read
started really a long time ago when they were new, but then I never got to finish them. I need to read more fantasy, that's for sure.
It's been a while.
Once you get into the book and start reading it, you won't want to put it down.
Yeah, I actually reread Tolkien last year again, and that was like 10, 12 years since I last read it last time. So I read the Lord of the Rings trilogy. So yeah.
Yeah, I've read Lord of the Rings 7 or 8 times.
Yeah, I think I read this. I think this was the 5th time I read it fully, so to speak. So, yeah, and I read it once in Swedish, and then I read it at least 4 times, I think.
Yeah, and the bookcase right over here, I've got Moorcock and Lieber, and my Gygax books are here.
Oh, how do you like Fritz Lieber?
Lieber was good. I mean,
Uh-huh.
it's very different read than Moorcock. It's a simpler prose. Let me put it that way.
Okay, yeah.
But I liked it. I liked the series. I thought it was very D&D flavor. Yeah.
It was one of Gary's inspiration, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I think that was the reason why I read it way back in the day, was because he listed it in the players, I think, or whatever.
Myth series too. One of the titles is another funny myth.
Yeah, Robert Aspirin. Mythic Link and all, that's with Skeeve. The ever mysterious Tim has a character named Skeeve in honor of the character Skeeve from the Myth series, which is very comical. In fact, I'll put 3 Tim heads in for that discussion. Something like that. There we go. 2 Tim heads in a row. What's up there, Mike? Getting all fired up here, ready to rock and roll. So, gonna be a good discussion. Really gonna be a fun one tonight here.
We'll try.
Yeah.
Here, Cold, I'm gonna link it for you. Go over and follow him immediately. How's that sound? Let me give that to you. Whoops, that's Nightheart. I hit the wrong button. Duh. Which is good too. There, CSL Entertainment. Okay, there you go. It's got a Patreon too. The Iron League. Gary is muted currently. I had to pull out a supplement that I really don't like to possibly discuss tonight. And I'm hoping I don't have to utilize it. But we'll see. So, look at that, Dennis, your special guest. Alright, we're on my 1 minute before, so look forward to having a fun one tonight here. I hear one and nothing happened. Oh, that's because I hit the wrong one. There we go. I just did a shout out to myself instead. Good evening. How's everyone tonight? I'm Jay, aka Lord Gazumba, and look at this crew I have tonight. We always have Anna Meyer on, so
Hey.
Mike Bridges is had a personal thing to take care of this evening, so Mike will not be on.
Oh.
Unfortunately, I know Dennis will be upset about that, but you know, we got three other fantastic people. We have Leonard Lakofka, as always, coming on. We have Gary Julian hiding out there. I think his mic's muted, so he may be. And look at that, we got a raid coming in from Blue Box just right now. And our special guest tonight, first time on, Denis Maldin Tetreault. Denis, thanks for coming on.
Oh, thanks for inviting me. I know you've been bugging me for a long time, and I've been promising for a long time, and we'll see how it goes.
Oh,
Wonderful.
Denis, real quick, give us some background, because you and I are like kindred spirits that never met because of how old our campaigns are.
I know.
So give us a little background of what you've done, what you've accomplished, to let everyone know who's new to, has never seen Maldin's website. And I'm gonna link it up in shout out. So you know, go for it.
Oh, well, geez, I don't know. The way I got into it was I had a couple of good friends when I was in high school. I started university, first year university, and I bumped into one of them that I hadn't seen in like 6 months, 8 months. One of my best friends, and we had gotten busy, and he goes, hey, we're trying out something new. It's called Dungeons and Dragons. Should come on over. So that was 1980, and we never looked back. He DM'd the first few months, and then I took over and as DM, and have been doing the DM thing ever since. It's been going 40 years now. The campaign has been going 40 years, although I had a hiatus of about 10 that didn't really play anything, moving around. Going from university to university, you lose contact with friends, and it's only really recently that we've been able to do this whole digital online thing. It's very difficult to play.
Especially if you're used to listen, there's my South Jersey accent, to playing in person.
Oh yeah, and I always was, and really it took the pandemic to force us to get playing online. So I actually have an online, we play through Roll20 now, but with a new group, mostly a new group. One of them's an old player. Yeah, I don't know, 40 years. It's been a long time. Greyhawk was the only campaign world at the time. So I guess that's how I got into Greyhawk. Hopefully I don't get knocked offline by this
feline,
giant feline.
That's okay. I'm assuming Gary's hiding out now and is muted. So you know, but we have please. A lot of people don't know. I'm going to link it now. Your website, which goes back to the beginning of website and web rings.
I think 1998 was when I launched it.
And I've linked it up there. Yeah, go for it. Just talk about a little bit about your website so that everyone. I got your site up there, and it links to the city of Greyhawk, and there's a lot more. There's a lot more of you know. You have to go check out this. I mean, this site is the oldest ones that's up. You know, probably the oldest one that's up that's Greyhawk related.
It's still going. Yeah. I mean, there were other sites on that had Greyhawk stuff on, like GeoCities, and which hasn't existed in a long time. But yeah, it's the site's been good to me over the years. It's been fun doing it. I'll go through long periods where I don't update anything, but there's over 80 separate web pages, I think, on it, not including the stuff that I host for other people.
Which is Mystic Scholars and Mike Bridges' comic.
Have Mystic Scholar is I think he's an excellent prose writer. He's writing short stories, Greyhawk short stories, and had no place to post them other than a couple of the forums. The problem with forums is post something there and then they get buried and nobody ever sees it again.
Yeah.
And so I've been hosting his short stories on there. I think, yeah, everyone should check them out. They're good. Right now he's up to episode or part 13. He's been serializing the adventure Mad God Key, which I just ran my players through a couple of months ago, actually. So
what level is that for?
It was relatively low level. They started it, basically they were first level.
Cool. Dennis, Jason says you need to send, Mystic needs to send him chapter 13 to Jason. So
yeah, he hasn't sent me chapter 13 yet either. So he's working on that. He's currently working on that.
Excellent.
I think chapter 12, Rascon appears in it.
Oh, nice.
He's put characters from the Grey Talk chats. He's put people in there. Mortellin appears in the series. And,
that's awesome to keep that going.
The other site that I'm hosting as well is Mike's World of Greyhawk comic, the WOG comic. I've got the archive of I think there's over 1,000 pages, I think, in that archive. It's huge. That work that he did over the years was just amazing. I love that series.
I've always said to Mike, talk about your Sea Princes campaign and get your comic back up and running.
I would love to see his comic back up. I mean, he was doing the Castle Greyhawk thing for a while, right?
Yeah.
So he was busy drawing, but it's been a while since he did the WOG comic.
Well, Dennis, it is a pleasure and honor to have you here, and I'm assuming that Gary will be chatting up shortly a little bit too.
We'll get him chatting.
Absolutely. So here is Leonard's got another contest for everyone. So while we have Leonard for the next 20 minutes, let's have Leonard discuss what we're going to do, what he's going to do for everyone. Please note, I think I've said this on multiple streams. Hey, Amy, you may win another one, so you never know. You can win 2 in a row. I only have tonight and Thursday, and then I have a well-earned family vacation. So that after that, the next stream will be a week from Sunday on Gab, and I'll put up all the placards for it at the end. But so this one will run a little long. So let me pop that back up to the beginning, Len, of what you want to do. All right. So go for it, Len. Why don't you talk about what's going to happen here?
Well, can you put up one of the 3 pictures of the
the building? Sure.
Building we're talking about?
I'll just scroll through here. There you go.
Okay. So a short lecture on Lego. I've decided that a Lego brick is 1.3 feet side to side and 1.5 feet bottom to top, not counting the pip. But what you have to do, now this building here is built with a very light brown bricks, which to me means it's made out of wood. And the dimensions come out to 40, well, let's see, where is it here? 41.6 feet. Well, I would round that to 41.5 feet across. And then the side is 23.4, so I'd make that 23.5. But you look at the doors, for example, that red door that's sitting there, to scale, it's too big because you're dealing with Lego. So you have to massage it to come down to reasonability. And you can't have a wooden wall that's 1.3 feet thick because that's unrealistic. So you set the walls at being about 8 inches, and then you go from there. So the contest we're going to cope with is the building, and Jay's going to show us 3 different views. And what you're going to do is I'm going to put people in it. How many depends on how many rooms you cut it up into. when you cut up a room, there's no obligation whatsoever to put in chairs and tables and what have you. You don't have to do that. That's probably too much work, but then knowing how anal some of us are, we might do it anyway. So, and then there's an accompanying town, which is
I'm going to blow that
right
up.
next to it.
Yeah, here.
So you see that staircase that goes down? There's
Yes.
two towers. There's a
Yep, and there's a staircase on the roof. Yep.
And a staircase going down. And you see those yellow and white bricks coming out the back?
Yep.
Yeah, that's the rear side. The other side's the front side. And that passageway goes all the way through. And partway along that passageway is that staircase coming out. So when you get the stats for the people who are in the town that Jay is going to show us in just a few minutes,
Yep.
you'll see that the vast majority of them are neutral, chaotic with evil tendencies. So they might have evil tendencies.
Good going, Len.
Yeah, so it kind of sets the stage for what could be going on in the building across the stream. I've called it the Welk Stream, and it's called that because it is got from a river that goes through the Welkwood, which is on the Wild Coast.
So here's the picture.
Yeah, there it is.
And what Leonard has done is, here's the town, okay? And it's Safeton's 34 miles to the south, so it's between Safeton and Peljarn in the Wild Coast. And this contest building's on the other side of the water by itself, okay? And this is the town, and we will share this town for your use, for anyone who wants it in the campaign. Leonard will, and we will, give you Leonard, of course, has done all the inhabitants in the town like he normally does for you, except for this building. So go, take it away, Leonard. What do you want them to do?
Well, yeah, they should. Purpose one is to say, what is that building? What is its purpose? Someone built it, moved into it, and now they've done something with it. We want to know what the something is. Then the second thing is putting characters into it based upon how you divide the rooms up. So you do a quick down and dirty floor plan. It doesn't have to be done in
can be handwritten.
Yeah, you can do it. You can do it freehand if you want. But the idea is to create that building, populate it, and then based upon who does the best job at that, you win something. And it's...
There you go. Another Leonard Kafka treat. So, yep.
Well, it's got a top, which comes off, and then there's got room inside for dice.
A little more. It's a dice, but it could be a terrain piece too. It could be a nice terrain piece as well. So, yeah. And it's a Leonard Kafka, and I imagine Leonard may throw some stuff inside it for you as well, like he always does.
He might.
Because Leonard is extremely generous. And so what you're going to do is you're going to email or message me, or if you have Len's email, you're going to send it to Len, and he's going to give you the information and of the town folk, and then we're going to run with it. And like I said, I'm on vacation next week, so Len's going to make a decision. Oh, John, thanks. Len's going to make a decision next Tuesday around 6 p.m., just like last time. We're on a hype train. So, yes. So thanks, John. Thank you, man. Really, really appreciate that. And 2 more special hero points for tomorrow night. Len, I think it's a really cool challenge tonight because this is something usable for everyone, right? Everyone can get a shot at using this in their campaign. So let me move this back to where this belongs. So
right. See, this is one of these things where you're going to have 5 entries or none. Because you could have somebody say, well, yeah, but that's a lot of work, so I'm not going to do it. And I understand that that's possible. In which case, the prize goes on to something else.
Yes, but come on. Amy, I have faith in Amy. I have faith that there's a lot of DMs out there. Stolok, Phantom, even Jason Zavoda should get in on this one, man. Come on. This one's just what it is. Map it out. Even Dennis could even throw that out there. And let me tell you something. Amy's got that Amy's got that Lehman satchel in her display case now for till the end of time, and this is another Leonard Lakofka item. So you want a piece of history, this is a chance to get it. So great idea.
My email is leomund@aol.com.
How easy is that? So
And when you're going to mail me questions or what have you, you're going to call it the Welk Stream, as the WELK, Welk Stream, as the name of the small stream that goes from the Welkwood through and goes eventually to, what's it called, Woolly Bay.
did you name the town again, Len?
Yeah, Welk Stream Crossing.
Welk Stream Crossing. So guess what? When Anna and I get together next time, it's going on the map.
Yep.
So we will have Welk Stream
I'm
Crossing.
taking notes already in my mapping.
We will add it to the map, and hey Anna, we got to do this. So yes, so Welk Stream Crossing will be right on the map. That is excellent. Thank you, Len, for this. So. All right, so there you go. You have it. You can email Len directly, which is great because for me, with me going on vacation shortly and only having one more stream tomorrow night, it's get in touch directly with Len, and now you could be part of Len's conversations too, and all his magic items he sends out, and a lot of things he sends out to the community, which is a lot of fun stuff. So all right.
Is it south of Safeton? Sorry,
it's north of Safeton. It's between Safeton and Peljarn, 34 miles north. So
perfect.
it's south of
Awesome.
Peljarn.
Yep.
Okay.
Awesome. Yep.
Cool. So that's how things get added to AB9. All right, here's how things. All right, we'll get on what we're here for to Iron League after this. This is how things get added to Anna's map. Are you ready, Anna? I really need a big favor. I know. I've done it. I've done this 12 times in a row. But can you come on Zoom Friday afternoon for about an hour? And I forgot. I need these 3 things added to your map. That's how
you usually give me 10 minutes setup or something like that. Yeah.
That's how it happens, really. For me.
I've never added things to Anna's map.
Oh no! You have a whole territory.
Yes, you have. You've added it. You canon and published, so you've already done it. So yep.
All right, so I'm going to hold this right
You're
here.
above our league.
I want one more thing. So this is, I'm proud of this because I am not an artist. I am a terrible artist, and so it was done by Blue Box, and you can please link John. You can link her, your artist, in if you so choose. Okay, please do that. Frederica Draws, I believe it is. That is my heraldry that I made for Sirharn, Slayer of Lindsay, in my campaign. And John's character, Shorewin, is a ex-squire of his. And so we took this, and Anna tweaked this 6 or 7 times when I was making it and made some great suggestions.
Oh, I just made a tiny suggestions, and you tweaked it. So.
Yes, but you made the suggestions, and then it got into artwork, which makes me feel really proud.
Yeah.
And I wanted to share it with, I know John's sharing it, but I wanted to share it with my audience too, because it's such a beautiful, and like I said, if you know the basics of how to work, gosh, Photoshop now, and I knew nothing a month and a half, 2 months ago. I did that, so just wanted to show you guys that. All right, and so thank you for the opportunity, John, to let me help you guys out, and it's going to be used in my campaign a lot too, because the County of Ulick rocks. Right, so there you go. All right, so now back to the discussion here. I know, Len, you got about 7 minutes, so you normally leave at 8:25, but the Iron League. Gary, whenever you want to hop on, feel free to. I know you may be eating or whatever. So yes, the Iron League. When I was a kid, and I had the glossography. Oh gosh, there's one other thing. For all you from Blue Box, I gotta show this. These are chits. Okay, I know there was a talk about chits. This is an uncut set of chits from the box from the prison edition. That is chits. You put them in a glass or somewhere and you cut them out. Len remembers these, and you have, this is before a dice, and there's your numbers on the back. Okay, that is it. Those are your chits. Boom. Fun stuff.
That got used poker chips in a coffee can.
That's another. Yeah, you could tape them to them. You could tape the side to them. Yeah, that's another way to do it too. Absolutely. So
that's how we rolled back in the Jurassic.
Absolutely. So they were talking about this on Blue Box's show previous with Mike Disney. I wanted to say, hey, I got an uncut set and pull it out of this box set that I cherish going back to my childhood. So there you go on that. So All right. When I was a kid, and I got the glossography, the original, glossography set with this in it, right?
Mhm.
And I scrolled through this, and I'm like, what is this? It goes ID, and then it says county of, and then it says member of the Iron League, right? I was like, what is that all about? And then there's Sunday and Onwall and the Free City of Irongate and Lordship of the Isles. And I'm like, what is this
Not
all
Lordship
about?
of the Isles, I don't think.
Yeah, Lordship of the Isles is a member of the Iron League.
Yeah, it was.
Really?
Yeah, look. Lordship of the Isles, member of the Iron
Yep.
League. Yep, absolutely. The Len's going to check me. Wow, guys, we had a level 3 hype on that. Thanks. Choo-choo hype trophy, man. That was awesome. So I get those emotes out to everyone. I loved that description, and it's not discussed much. So the only thing I could find was the date, which is 447 it was founded, Dennis, I think.
It was around there.
Why do I constantly challenge Leonard John? Because I'm a glutton for punishment. That's why. 447 it was founded, and there's not much of a discussion here except the following. I'm going to read this real quick. It says, the last heir of the House of Rax fell to assassination during turmoil between crowns. This is page 6. When the demon-serving House of Nalex ascended to the Malachite throne, the whole of the South Province refused to swear loyalty, and they joined the Iron League, which I didn't realize that until I read this again, that the South Province was a member as well. This pact with the Free City of Irongate, the Shek of Onwall, and the Lordship of the Isles certainly gave the League a stronger bargaining position. It assured its status by enabling the Confederation to negotiate a treaty of mutual protection between League states and the Kingdom of Nyrond. This treaty remains in force to this day. Now remember, this is 576.
But the Lordship of the Isles is easily 1,000 miles away from the Iron League.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get. Yeah.
Because you got to go all the way through the.
Well, it's close to Sunday. It's not too far from Sunday, which is part of the Iron League as well.
Yeah, they have a kind of they have a little bit of a connection that way. So yeah.
Yeah, well, basically they took all of the nations along the southern edge of the Great Kingdom, I think, and kind of said, okay, the South is rebelling.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you've got the two extremes, Onwall and the Lordship.
Well, yeah, Sunday certainly is closer as opposed to Onwall and the Iron Gate and Heidi is the other one.
So Lord Grendelwolf.
Those are pretty good distance away, but Sunday is kind of close.
Lex, I'm not starting with a dream spell. We're going to leave that for another day. So Gaetano says Lordship of the Isles can sail around the southern Tilvanat. So
that's what they have to do.
Yeah, absolutely. It intrigued me, but we never played over there. Now, when Tim DM'd for us, he had a group called the Knights of the Eastern Sun, which was a offshoot of knights from the Great Kingdom, and there were bad guys and cavaliers flying around on the gem. Remember the neutral gem dragons from Best of the Dragon? Flying around on those things, causing trouble, havoc. So we adventured a little bit in ID, but that was it. So, and Dennis, I know you haven't really either, but
it's been an area of the map that I've, ironically, after doing the Iron Gate project, never had a campaign really hosted in that area. I've been all over the place, and some of the areas more obvious than others, like had a lot of stuff in City of Greyhawk and in the Melcott area, of course, but for some reason never ran anything serious in the Iron Gate, even though I always intended to.
Well, and you know what I think that is, Dennis? I think that we oh, there he comes. He's got his waving. Look at that flag. Material. Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
Lack of material was one of the problems.
Exactly, right? Exactly. And we are going to get to Dennis and Gary Julian did a Dragon Magazine article that we're going to share and show as well. That's very nice to utilize and give you some cool ideas for that area. So true stuff that you had to basically make it up.
Yeah.
You know, and so Anna, have you ever done anything in this area? I know Len
Not
hasn't.
not in the city or the city of Iron Gate or its territory. It's the Rel Devon campaign. I came a couple of 100 miles away from it. That's the closest I've ever been. Yeah.
Rel Devon's on one of the maps I have. So Rel Devon is.
Rel Devon is northeast of it, about 400, 500 miles away.
Rel
and
Devon's in the Great
southwest of it.
Kingdom, correct? Or is it in?
Yeah, it was one of the metropolises in the Great Kingdom,
Okay.
and then it ended up after the war in United Kingdom of Alyssa.
So Cold, anything I'm showing right now is on Maldin's site, which is free. You go right there. These maps, or just go under Iron Gate. Do they do? All right. So, Len, what would you like? We're going to answer that, Will, in a second. Len, what would you like to say? I know you may have to bolt shortly. What would you? Anything you want to say in closing?
Well, no, as long as you're showing the building.
Yeah, we got it.
And you can send that to them, or have me send it to them.
Yep.
Along with the town and the other thing, because I'll base it on questions coming into me as to what I want to do. I want purpose of the building, people put in, and walls and doors and stuff like that. And again, you don't have to put in the furnishings inside of the various rooms. You can skip all of that.
And take advantage of a Len contest to reach out to him and talk to him about what you're doing. And Len is very responsive in email. You know, just isn't that funny that like email's like the thing of the past now for the most part? But with you know, but Len
I'm a thing from the past too.
But Len, you know, it's a great opportunity just to get involved in those email chains. Josh Pop's available in it. Anna is. I am. The gentleman who did CAFCON is. The gentleman who runs the first edition group that's uncensored. Carr, right? Chris Carr, is it? He's involved in that group. That Len has a chain, and you know, maybe I'll include you on that chain if you you know, work some magic here with this. So appreciate it, Len. Just hop off whenever you need to. And
Chris Lahr.
Chris Lahr, that's it. Chris Lahr. Yeah.
Chris Lahr.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has a website up, and a number of it all branched from when he used to run CAFCON. But then they decided it was just too much work and they stopped doing it. It was in North Carolina.
Yeah, that's a shame. That's a real shame. So,
all right. I'm going to take off.
Thanks, Len.
So, Leomund@AOL.com if you have questions.
I'll talk to you in a week and a half.
Thank you so much.
Have a good one.
Seeing you again.
All right.
Yep.
Sounds good. Bye-bye.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Bye. That was awesome.
Yes. All right. Here's the question. And Dennis, this one was for you from Will. And oh gosh, did I lose it in chat here?
I'm trying to keep a half an eye on chat. I don't know how you do it. It's going by.
Yeah, you scroll up and down.
It's going by fast, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. And we talked about this the other night. What did they do with Iron Gate and Living Greyhawk?
What did they do with Iron Gate? Well, it's a bit of an interesting story because when Gary, I think it was Gary, right? We're going to try to coax him to come on still. Gary wrote the Iron Gate entry and several of the other regional entries for the Living Greyhawk Gazetteer. And we had already thought about, well, Eric and I had been working on the City of Greyhawk module or articles in the Living Greyhawk. And we had planned that kind of from the very start when he was first starting to plan Living Greyhawk and saw the original of my map. This was before I ever posted it online. I'd sent him a copy of it and he, well, I sent him a copy because I was going to put it on my website, and I had tried to get Dragon Magazine to publish it several years before that, and they weren't terribly interested. I didn't know at the time, but that was when they were having their massive financial difficulties, and were basically shutting everything down until, well, Atkinson came and kind of saved the company, basically. But so I sent Eric this, and he goes, "Don't put it online yet. Give me some time, and I may have something. I may have an idea."
Eric Mona.
Eric Mona.
Yeah.
And so what I didn't know at the time was that he was just beginning to plan Living Greyhawk. And so the idea was that when it launched, and in the first Living Greyhawk journal, which was going to help support the campaign, he wanted to have my City of Greyhawk map as some sort of insert. We weren't sure if it was going to be a full poster or not at that point, but he really wanted it for that. And so the launch happened, the LGG came out, Gary and company helped write those. And there was material, lots of material left over that they couldn't squeeze into the LGG. And so Eric and I were then planning on doing a series of detailing the city of Greyhawk as one of the core regions. And the idea that we had was after that, we would continue with a Cities of Greyhawk series. And the one area that we thought would be, as you said it already, one of the least developed areas on the map, potentially one of the most interesting areas with all the politics and characters like Cobb Darg and all of that, that it would be ripe for the next thing in line. And so we thought, well, why don't we get the whole community in on this? Gary and I came up with the idea of the Iron Gate Project web pages. And so the article kind of came years later when we realized that we weren't going to be able to do what we had hoped to do, because by that time Eric had seen the writing on the wall for LG as well. And so yeah, the article kind of came out of, I think some of the material was material that Gary had never used in the LGG, had even thought of, and we kind of fleshed it out with ideas of mine as well. And so it kind of got born out of that. But the whole idea of the Iron Gate Project site was to try to coax members of the community to start contributing to developing this area. And because we wanted to kind of have it as an area that can be developed like that, Eric had the idea of keeping it core as opposed to assigning it to a specific area of the real map, like a state or a province or something, so that we could still continue to develop it with a vision of continuity rather than chance it with an unknown, what they called triads back then,
what they would destroy. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm trying to be polite, because a lot of the work that the LG triads did was awesome.
Oh my God,
the
yeah.
Community, just the amount of material, and yes, the old cliche is that a lot of the modules were kind of, but so much of it was really good.
Mm-hmm.
And I would never kind of put that, but we didn't know in the beginning how it was going to turn out. And so
how successful it would have been.
Yeah. And who knew that it was going to run that many years? And so from the beginning, not knowing what was going to happen, Eric kept Iron Gate as a core area that wasn't assigned to anybody. And the reason is it was going to be city number 2 when we got around to developing it. But, everybody got busy. Shit happens. Sorry.
No,
So
you
it
can
was
say
one
that
of the
word.
areas that was kind of overlooked by
Sorry.
living Greyhawk that way.
Well, it was, and in a way, it was kind of our
Was saved
fault.
from it.
We're to blame
Yeah.
for it being overlooked because it wasn't assigned to anybody. And
Yeah.
you know, hindsight, who knows?
But still, I mean, it was technically untouched, and so I'm
Yep.
assuming that's why you brought this article out.
Well, yeah. It was kind of we've got to do something with it.
Gary,
I mean, at that point,
there you go.
yeah, at that point, the Iron Gate project pages had been up for quite a while.
Yeah, which issue of Dragon magazine?
351, was that
351.
it?
351
okay, awesome.
or 341? One of those two.
351.
Okay,
It was 351.
351. Okay, thank
There
you.
you go.
January 2007.
Right near the end of things.
It was, and then yeah.
But
I mean, let me see if I can.
it's a great article because
Well,
there's stuff in here that I don't know what you're talking about. So, like, I did not know the Tower of Dairn was there. I was unaware. Is that Dairn's home city?
I think the idea to put that one particularly there may have been Gary's, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, Gary, get on. So,
yeah.
All right. What about? There's this discussion in this article about going like. I know there's the deep doors that and Hellcarm's pit which connect to the Underdark, but there always seems to be this reference back to this inn that's like multiplanar. Am I missing something? Like what is that discussion?
Oh, the World Serpent Inn.
That's it. Yes.
Yeah. Well, the World Serpent Inn, and I pulled it out.
There we go. Canadian said World Jumping Tavern. Yes. Okay. Cool. Let's talk about that. That's a cool thing.
Oh, I had it here. Hang on a second.
So Corey, first comes to running one of the best modules ever. Is that an LG module? Core module?
This is where the World Serpent Inn was born.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Tales of the Outer Plains.
So this I think is one of those underrated modules. Not so much for the material. The adventures in it was okay, but as far as I'm concerned, this is what hatched Planescape.
Who wrote that?
I think this was
Graham Morris.
Well, it was a collection of people. I think that.
Awesome. I mean, I don't have that. That's one of the.
I have it somewhere.
I do not have
here.
that. I may have to try and find that on. Now everyone's going to rush on eBay and Amazon. They're going to go up so much.
Yeah, I mean, every adventure. It's a series of adventures that are linked by the World Serpent Inn, and every adventure is done by a different author. So it was a compendium.
Awesome.
But it's the first adventure or adventure series that
Tales of
the Outer Plains into a setting.
Okay.
And the excuse, there you go.
Yep.
The excuse that was used to link the individual adventures was the idea of this plane-spanning bar run by a guy named Mitchifer, who looks kind of like Santa Claus, except his beard is made up of little snakes, tiny snakes. But when that came out, that gave them the idea to do the Manual of the Planes, and then Planescape was hatched. Which, I mean, Planescape, I think was an amazing setting.
So wait a minute. So that is pre-Manual of the Planes.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's from 1988.
Okay, so that's still first edition.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I
It's
had
a
every
whole
first
bunch
edition
no,
book. Second, because Man of the Plains is I thought was first edition.
Yeah, it's a whole bunch of authors. 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 people.
All right. Well, I
Yeah,
don't
the
have
idea
it.
was that you could use the inn as a way, because it's basically it's a place with gates that could literally take you anywhere. And
this
so
inn
I
is
love. Pardon?
it's in Iron Gate.
Well,
Connects to it.
I loved the idea of this gateway to
Yeah.
other planes.
Yeah.
And so in my city of Greyhawk, I placed a link to the World Serpent Inn. It's an inn in Clerkburg called the Wild Goose Inn. Is the tavern that inhabits them. And if you do the
Yeah.
special gate portal entry thing, instead of walking into the Wild Goose Inn, you walk into the World Serpent Inn. So I was the first person to place a connection to the World Serpent Inn in the city of Greyhawk. And then when
cool.
I
Yeah.
published the map with Eric through LG, I put it in there. It's in there.
Awesome.
So it's canon. And so
Yeah, absolutely.
there was an article that came out a little bit before the Iron Gate article in Dragon magazine about Michifer and the World Serpent Inn and the idea of it, and I think. And so Eric decided to use the idea of the World Serpent Inn as an excuse to create a Dragon magazine that could show off an article on each different, like there's a Forgotten Realms article in there. There's in that 351 in that issue, there's an article, there's a location in a different campaign world, all being linked by the World Serpent Inn. So we decided that, Eric wanted to get something about Iron Gate into the Dragon before, it was out of his hands and before LG was gone. And this was a perfect vehicle to use as an excuse to do, a Greyhawk City article. And so he asked Gary and I to put it together. The actual location of Helkem's Pit and that between the deep doors, that was Gary's idea.
Gary's sound is on. So Gary, you there?
Hello.
Yay!
Yay!
This is a great conversation, man. This is stuff I really need to learn, man. Awesome.
Well, this is not your side of the map.
Exactly. But
hey, on your side, wait a minute, this ain't my side of the map either. But well, that's a different story.
Oh, I know. So Dennis was really nervous about carrying this conversation by himself because he's like, I don't really adventure on this side of the map.
I know. This is when I was trying to convince Gary to be with me tonight. Just don't leave me alone.
What a great discussion, though.
Yeah,
so Gary, how much of this was you putting Helkem's Pit? That's an interesting.
Yeah, that was Gary.
That's Gary.
Okay.
Okay.
Gary.
In Iron Gate. That is.
Yeah. So I heard a little bit of the conversation earlier. After we finished the LGG, we kind of had the idea that maybe there would be a series of books coming out. And one of them that I proposed was Cities of the Flannis. We would take a dozen cities and really dig into them in more detail. I think Forgotten Realms got a book like that. And I was kind of jealous about that. I said, we really deserve a book like that too.
Right.
And it would, maybe have a one-page map and maybe, a dozen pages of gazetteer style material about the city. And one of the cities that we, thought would for sure be on the list was Iron Gate. And Iron Gate then became sort of a preserve. When Eric set up Living Greyhawk, he basically took out a bunch of places and said, these are going to be special places. We're going to do something official with them in the pages of either Living Greyhawk Journal or something else. So
I mentioned that part of it. Yeah.
yeah, so Iron Gate became one of those special places, which is why it never, belonged to a triad.
One of the early products that was really popular for a different game system that Eric and I I think you as well, Gary, had familiar with it, was the Cities of Harn product.
Absolutely, a big admirer.
The maps in it are just to die for. If you've never seen Cities of Harn, you've got to get your hands on. But it was Harn produced a bunch of regional modules describing the politics and all of that sort of thing. Well, Columbia Games produced it for Harn, and then there was one product that they did it was a half a dozen, I think, 6 or 8 cities from all over their continent, with just kind of chapter sections of it, and it was a wonderful product. It was one of their most successful products as far as I know, and it was something that I mean we did more. The stuff that we've done is kind of more fluff than Harn stuff is very technical descriptions, a lot of. And so we would have gone in a little different direction. But the idea of a compilation volume was like mouth-watering to us. That, or as Gary said, a series of, well, we're going to do this city, and then we'll move on to another city, and then move on to another city. And
yeah, I mean, after that conversation with Eric 2 weeks ago, I have a little more perspective, I guess, about what happened was, basically they told Eric, no, there are going to be no more books for Greyhawk. That was the one shot you guys were going to get. You're going to be Living Greyhawk from now on, so you could have the journals, periodicals like Dungeon Dragon and Living Greyhawk Journal, but you're not going to get any more books. So then Eric sort of transitioned and said, okay, I'll take individual cities then, and we'll take those as articles, and maybe we'll turn them in to something in Dungeon. And of course, I eventually got Spine Castle in there, and the idea was to maybe do them serially. And Maldin and I had Iron Gate. That was going to be our baby to turn in at some point. But of course, at that time we thought there was no end. It was an indefinite deadline, so we never really pulled it together the way it needed to be pulled together and turned it in. But Eric eventually let us know, hey, there's a special coming up, and it's on the World Serpent Inn, and this place touches on all the settings, and we need a Greyhawk, location. And the cliche would have been just to do the one in the city of Greyhawk.
It's overdone.
Yeah, it's overdone. So we said, you know what? There's also a connection under Iron Gate. So
yeah,
we created it and we put it in there, and then that gave us an excuse for which to give us sort of a thumbnail sketch of what Iron Gate is like. And I think it's enough.
Your section in the LG about Iron Gate is pretty meaty as well. I was rereading it again the other night, prepping for this. And you had it is a surprising amount of material in those few pages in the LGG and
that's my style.
Page 55 through 57. So there's a lot of information.
Yes,
with history. Actually, it goes on through 58 as well. So you have this is almost as big as the article.
Well, and I was just thinking. I mean, you were asking me when we were chatting the other night. I said, well, how many pages is the Dragon article? And I said, I don't know. Is it like 6? And you're going, oh, it's 4. It's, really?
But it's a great 4.
It seems more than that, but yeah, it's only 4 pages with figures, with illustrations.
Yeah, the opening paragraph or 2 of that article is one of my favorite things I think that we wrote.
Yeah,
it really kind of sets the tone for what Greyhawk is. And
listen to this. Listen to line 1 of paragraph 2. The history of the Flannis is rife with heroes and villains who have made their mark on the world as well as the multiverse, including Mordenkainen, Igwulf, Merlin, and Robilar. Greyhawk has also produced some of the most infamous and powerful artifacts in existence, including the Hand and Eye of Vecna, the Crook of Ral, the Rod of 7 Parts, and the Machine of Love and the Mad. There you go. Very
well, in
cool.
every great novel, it's the opening that counts, right?
Yeah.
And we needed to show all of those other articles that Greyhawk was better.
Yeah, definitely. So going on about this, um, Cobb Darg, what a character, huh?
Yeah,
So he supposedly
One
has.
of Greyhawk's biggest mysteries, unsolved mysteries.
yeah, he's an enigma.
Yeah, is he Does he have Dwarvish blood, or is he a
Well,
wizard or necromancer? Or
what we decided when we were writing the article was that we were not going to definitely peg him
See that.
down. We wanted to let DMs decide. My personal favorite is he's a Greyhawk dragon. That's my personal favorite.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
But I would never foist that onto all DMs out there. And we decided that let DMs decide. And that's an important feature, I think, of Greyhawk, is that a lot of Greyhawk is, some of those key decisions are for the DMs to decide for their own campaign world.
The last line of the Cobb Darg section says, "The truth is still anyone's guess." It's perfect. What do you think, Gary? You have a supposition as to what direction you'd like it to see, or you want to?
I always bounce back and forth. I mean, I love all three suggestions, so I could easily go with any of those three. But I do like the idea of him maybe being half dwarf. That it's some kind of 1 in a million thing where you can have a half dwarf, and maybe he has a 200-year lifespan because of that.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, if there's a connection to the tavern there, Dark Sun has half dwarves, right? Half human, half dwarves, moles. Right. Yeah. There's a possibility. All right. I want you guys to explain to me Earthblood. Whose idea? Where'd it come from? No one wants to do. This is the page 4 of the article.
Okay. So I guess it was probably my idea to put that in there. And of course, I assume when you guys introduced Dennis, you introduced him in his professional capacity as well, right?
No, we did not, Dennis. Why don't you tell them what your love is, your true love?
Well, by training, I'm a geologist, so technically a paleontologist. But so part of my obsession with maps comes from. Sorry, I have cat butt in the camera here.
That's okay.
Part of my obsession with maps comes from I've been dealing with maps all of my life as a geologist. Paleontologist is my specialization. That's what I have a PhD in that. But yeah, so we have a geologist in the article who's an expert on all minerals and gems. Torin Leadstit, I think his name is.
He's in here too.
Yeah.
Torin Leadstit. Yep.
I have a terrible habit of following in Gary Gygax's habit of creating anagrams. Torin Leadstit is actually an anagram.
Should we know who it is?
Of my name.
Yes, it is. Oh my gosh. Nice.
In that same article, I don't know if Gary knows this. In that same article, I have an anagram of his name as well. That one's much easier to pick out.
Oh my gosh!
But you didn't know?
I might have to reread it again.
It's an anagram of G. Holium.
Oh, okay.
So it's not a very long name, so you'd be able to find it pretty quickly. But yeah, I mean, the idea that Iron Gate is, well, a center of smithy, of whether you're weaponsmithing or armorsmith, that the geology, the mines of Iron Gate are going to be one of, if not the most important aspect of the region. And so we wanted to put materials in the area and an expert that knew about it. And so Earthblood, I think, originally comes from the Tensor adventure, right?
What, Return of the Eight?
Yeah, Return of the Eight.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's mentioned before that. Do you know, Gary, if it's...
It's possible, but it's certainly evolved from Sargent's work with developing these extra special earth-based substances. So in Maldin and I, you have two earth scientists by training. I don't practice my degree anymore, but I'm more on the chemistry side of things. And you know, the idea was that, hey, let's have these substances that are rather unique to the Iron Gate area and create this extra special reason for maybe players and PCs to go there. If you want to, you know, get someone to build you a weapon in the Flannis, especially a magical one, Iron Gate is the place you go. You know, if you don't have this individual special mage in your region that might be able to do it for you, well, people in Iron Gate will do it for you by commission, and that's the place to go.
And I kind of, even before this, because the page is quite a lot older than that, I think originally, I put a page, I'll post the link in the chat here.
Excellent.
I mean, people often harp on magic items, and I've always thought that in a magical world, there should be materials with magical affinity, but not necessarily actually magic, right? And so I have this page of different types of materials that are special, that are linked to Greyhawk events or locations that can be used as, say, special components in magic effects. And that's
this is awesome, Dennis. I have not seen this. You said there's 80 different pages of this. Wow, this is, I love this. Go ahead, Gary.
Maldin's website is full of great stuff. Every Greyhawk fan needs to go there.
Yep.
Go through the index and read up on the stuff that's there. I mean, it's
of it being built up over more than 20 years, but there used to be a running joke about saying that, you know, if you can think of a topic, Maldin has a page for it.
That is fantastic.
Not quite that extensive, but
that's a way to bring something new and fresh into the campaign that my curmudgeons don't know about right there. Just with all those items, you know, that's awesome.
Great lists of artifacts and theories about artifacts.
Yeah, I am known for my bizarre theories, that's for sure.
His work on Night Below and integrating it into the campaign is amazing.
Yep. Now, did that become the canon for where it was placed based on Denis's discussion? Anna?
I mean, I certainly would take his work as the canon.
Yeah, I think people, especially on Grey Talk itself, people kind of postulated two or three different locations where it could fit. Where I put it is one of those locations. I wouldn't say I was the first or the only person who thought of putting it down there, but you know, it certainly fit in with my idea of what was going on in the Underdark down there.
Let's take a step back, and I'm gonna. I think from the show tomorrow I'll have Melcott on my map, and I'll find it in here. Tell us how you met Gary and Eric and all on the Grey Talk. We hadn't even discussed that. So what happened?
Oh, okay. Yeah, take us back.
Yeah, please. Take us back to the beginning. What happened? I'm gonna link the map as we're doing that. So go ahead.
From me or from Gary?
From both of you, but you can start off, Dennis.
Well, I mean, back in the old days when we had to access the internet through bulletin board sites, and then the high tech thing was news groups, and so there were a couple of bulletin boards that were accessible. There was a D&D news group that was available. And so there were a couple of people that seemed to be movers and shakers. I was never on AOL. So I was never part of how Eric and Gary got into the online world through the AOL folders and that. That was certainly a very popular path, which a lot of people came into online Greyhawks through. I never had AOL. I never had access to AOL. So I started picking up on it on the news groups and heard about the Great Talk chat or not chat, but the Great Talk list when Gary created out of the MIT server. And so there were also a few other people that, well, we call it the dark times, where TSR was rabidly protective of their IP. And if anybody discussed their pronouns, I mean, they sent out a lot of cease and desist orders back then, and it was very antagonistic to the community. And it drove parts of the community underground. And so there was because I had been posting information in these news groups about some of my Greyhawk campaign, I was contacted by one of these groups called the GEC, the Greyhawk Exchange something. I forget exactly what it, and they kind of were, let me see if I've put the thing. Part of this is in my Who is Maldin page, but
yeah, link it in, man. Link whatever you want in the chat, please.
This is a page that's really out of date. But anyway, these guys were running an FTP server with basically, I mean, scanning and producing PDFs of product. It was not really the technology that was happening back then, but they were posting text documents of stuff from their home campaigns and lists of information that had been gleaned out of various products, and everything was kept secret in fear of
TSR's wrath,
them being shut down. And so we had these two different groups that were kind of rising and collecting people from the community and bringing them together. And so there was the GEC with Gary Katzman and a couple of other people. And on one side, which is where I was, and then there was the council and the AOL group on the other side, which is where Eric and Gary were, and a couple of others. And there was a point where the two groups decided, hey, we should get together. And we held this summit where there was like 3 or 4 people from each group. And I was one of the ones from on the GEC side, holding discussions on how we could merge these two groups operating sort of on the fringes of generating Greyhawk content, how we could get people together and sort of make a more holistic community. And it became easier with Gary and the Greytalk MIT server.
What year is this?
94, 95?
94. Okay. I would say 94.
Okay. So the Free Secret box set had just come out, 93. So that's the era we're talking about. So there's not a lot of.
I have a note here that I was a member of the Great Talk list since 96.
Okay.
So it had been going a little bit before I became before I subscribed to the list.
Yeah, I think Great Talk had its first year in 94.
Okay.
Which is when TSR AOL went online.
Went offline?
Online.
Oh, it went online. Okay. All right.
Right. So they said, okay, we know that you guys are discussing our stuff and trading stuff amongst yourselves. We're going to set up an official way for you to do that, but you've got to join AOL and it's going to be on our boards. So a lot of people, went ahead and did that, but there was still a sense in which it was really constrained because you were, heavily moderated and you were extremely observed. So it in some ways it was the benefit that also gave you the eyeballs that people like Roger Moore were also watching what you were doing. And when they saw things like the Orth Journal pop up, they said, "Oh wow, there's a lot of talent and interest in this community. So let's give it a second consideration." But Denis is, one of the oldest people from the community that is still around. I mean, well, not literally oldest. I'm just saying. So many of those early people have drifted away. I don't know.
It seems to be a core of us, like yourself and Eric, and while he was around, Fred and people like Rascon and Jason, and
I think I joined 2004, but I wasn't active. I just received the.
I want to put this out there. So Gary, Alan Grohe reached out to Rascon, who does a lot on the Piazza, right? For the Ask the Experts show on Virtual Greyhawk Con, and he declined.
Ooh.
Okay, so if you guys have connections to him, we put it out there. So
he hides in a shadow that's even deeper than the shadow I hide in. So.
All right, but just note that we reached out to him.
I don't think it's going to happen
through Alan. Okay.
He has an absolutely encyclopedic knowledge of Greyhawk. It's amazing what he remembers.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah.
But there's sort of a core of us that have, as like Gary said, we've kind of always been around. And so when Eric had the chance, and I did over the last 2 nights, what I was doing over the last 2 nights was I sat and I watched the Legends and Lore with Eric. Amazing show. That was an amazing show, and a bunch of things that I didn't know. A lot of stuff I guessed was going in the background that Eric kind of would hint at when we would have our private chats when we were editing the LGG. But that's why he pulled Gary and Fred to help him write it, and then tapped several other people, including myself and Montand and Noel Graham, and he tapped another 4 or 5 of us to basically help with checking continuity and that sort of thing. And so there was that core of us again that had kind of been around forever that got to put our mark.
If you guys open the LGG to the first contents page, you're going to see a special thanks section, and there's Denis's name right there.
It's a who's who of the people that were on since the beginning.
Special thanks. It says Noel Graham, Joe Katzman, and the GEC, Eric O'Brien, Lisa Stevens, Denis Tetreault, Robert Weiss, Skip Williams.
And as far as I know, Denis is the only one on that list that's still active.
Okay.
Yeah. Noel gave it all up. Fred gave it all up. Monty gave it all up. Yeah.
So I have an idea. Denis, you're giving us a ton of great information. Right now, when we finish up Virtual Greyhawk Con, I just ask questions. I'll just ask right out in front. They asked the experts. We have Gary, Leonard Lakofka, and Alan Grohe so far. Would you like to join that panel?
Oh, well.
It's 2 months from now. You can give me a yes or no.
I'll give you a tentative yes. Okay. I have to see what else is going.
Okay.
My time has constraints to it that
sure,
are not under my control.
It's a Sunday evening, October 4th, to end. It's the last event of Virtual Greyhawk Con and Ask the Experts. It was Gary's idea, so we want to get together some of the best who's who people of it. And
tentative yes.
Okay, cool. There you go. Now we're up to 4. So 6, awesome. I think is I think it's going to be a wonderful show. Wonderful.
I was at the LGG launch seminar at Gen Con. That was a fun thing.
Oh, here comes the story.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
Yeah.
Gary was supposed to be there. Yeah, I mentioned this to you before when we were chatting the other night when we were trying to set it up. testing things out. Yeah, Fred, Gary, and I were supposed to share a hotel room, and Gary never showed up, stuck us with the bill. We like to poke him about that all the time. It was a blast. It was a blast being there and seeing it all, and living the birth of probably the single greatest Greyhawk Renaissance since Gary Gygax created it. It was a blast being there. It would have been fun to have Gary there, but I have my copy here, which I like to think is possibly unique because within it may be one of the few copies that has Eric's signature,
Nice.
Sean's signature, Fred's signature, and Gary Gygax's signature.
Oh my gosh!
Oh.
Wow.
So the only signature that's missing.
Gary's.
You already have one, Gary. Come on.
That
That
is-
is awesome. Yeah.
I need both. I need both Garys.
all right.
But I
this
would never ship that if I were you, Dennis. Do not.
Yeah, no way. No
Oh
way.
no, it's not getting shipped anymore.
Wow.
Yeah. But in that case, in this specific case, I think your Gary Julian, its signature, yours is more important than Gary's in this case because your name is on the book.
Yes.
Well, to complete the set too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my task someday is Gary and I will eventually someday meet in person. We've never met in person.
I was shocked when he said that Eric and Gary had never met in person with all the work they collaborated on. I'm shocked.
Yeah. No, I mean this is the closest I've come to
To that waving flag.
touching Gary. Yeah.
That's great.
And my other prized possession I have, well, actually I have two. Maybe I'll show off here.
Sure, please. This is a
Yeah.
blast. Yes.
Oh, yeah, I love
I
that.
got this. Eric sent me a copy with Jason Bowman, James Jacobs, and his signature.
Oh my gosh.
So there's their signatures there.
Oh, look, hey, there's Mike. Mike, hopefully your thing's going well tonight, Mike. Thanks for hopping on and doing that cheer.
Yeah.
Dennis
And
was
my
a little
other-
upset you weren't
my other
on.
possession,
Is it signed by Jim Ward?
yeah,
Nice.
he
Why don't-
sent me a copy. He sent me a copy.
Mike, just get on.
Oh, you're home early, Mike. Come on, man. Come on. We got an
Yeah,
open
Mike.
slot. Let's
Yeah.
go off. Come on, please. Get on. You should.
Yep.
You deserve to be on the show. Absolutely.
like,
Dennis wants you on. He was. Yeah.
Absolutely, this is like a gathering
Yeah,
of.
please come on.
old guard. I mean, I've known Anna since
2004 or something. I think it was the first time we chatted.
it may. Your World of Greyhawk map was nothing but the domain of Greyhawk.
It was just the first time I put it online. I think it was 2004.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we go back to then, and we used
Yeah,
to.
we had a
chat all the
couple of
time on
Skype
Skype.
calls back then. Yep.
We used to do Skype. And Mike, I've actually met in person. My wife and I were on a vacation cruising through St. Louis, and I messaged him. He says, "Mike, I'm driving right past your city."
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great
I
idea. That's
remember when
awesome.
I saw that on you posted it on Facebook
So
or
we
something.
we got together at a demolition derby. Well, it was a county fair. County fair was on, and they had a demolition derby at the fair. And so we walked around and chatted, and it was a great time.
that's so cool.
Here he
Yeah.
comes. Here he comes. All right.
Oh.
So. Hey, there we are.
Hey, welcome.
Hey,
Hey,
Mike.
Glad
how's
you
it
got back.
going?
Glad you got home early.
Hey, Dennis.
We're having a
Glad you
fun
could come.
discussion so far. It's been great.
Yeah,
What
awesome.
have I missed?
Just a lot of history. We talked a little in depth about Iron Gate. We haven't gotten into the Iron League that much.
Yeah,
It's more.
actually, we
No, not
haven't
much yet. We
been-
haven't mentioned it yet.
It's a lot of reminiscing, which is great, and a lot of stories.
No, that's great.
Yeah, this
Yep.
has been a really fun discussion, just like the one with Eric, just like the 100th episode of Gavin. We're getting a lot of reminiscing, a lot of great stories where Gary relates that. Dennis told me this the other night where Gary stiffed him on the room. That was a funny story, So
In my defense, I never really confirmed.
Uh,
always get confirmation.
Yeah.
So thank you, Wally, for that compliment. Really appreciate it. So can we go over this? I want to know how, go back to the map,
All
how
right.
this came to be, because you basically are the first outsider of the world of Anna to get on the map. And there's Melkatia, right? There it is. Lands of
Malkosia.
Melkotia, my apology on the pronunciation, my stupid South
Yeah.
Jersey accent. There you
Well,
go.
if you want to know where the origins of the word are,
Please.
anybody who's a Star Trek original series,
Oh, yeah, of course.
the
Yeah.
Melkotians.
Yes.
I totally ripped off the name.
That's
that
okay.
episode. I thought it was such a cool name.
Well, at least you didn't call it Tholian or something like that, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
the Melkotians is actually a really cool name. So,
Yeah,
all right.
that's where it came from.
Tell us a little bit of background of the whole area.
Well, it's a very far distance from Iron Gate.
Yeah, it's okay
Yeah.
though, but it's yours. We want to talk about it.
Yeah.
I wanted to create an original city out of the
Oops.
way, and I picked a spot where there was absolutely bare space. Yeah, I mean, it was something that I did when I was working on my master's in Rochester. So that was 1985, I think it was. 1984, 85, I created the original map for Melcott and started building it up from there, and it's grown into a folder which is
So Melcott's got Altamira by 2 years. Oops, there you go. We got Gary and Dennis on top. It's all right.
It was something with the internet. Yeah.
That's all right. We got now Gary and Dennis are on top. So that's good.
But it's I have a manila folder of paper that's about this thick, and it's point form descriptions and maps mostly, and so yeah, it's become a key part of my main my campaign. Kind of has a central thread running through it. It's my 40-year-old campaign has a continuous timeline since the very beginning.
Nice. That's
Same
it. That's the way to do it. You and I.
When
40.
I have a new group, like the group that I have playing nowadays are people that I met here in Windsor. When they come into that campaign world, there's literally 40 years of history that they can learn about. They'll learn about, their characters will hear about things that other players' characters did 20, 30, 40 years ago. And so I can see how some people like the idea of restarting a campaign all the time. If that's the way you like to play, that's the way you like. But I like to have that background all developed. I'm not starting from scratch. I can pull from all sorts of different things over the years, and so I have an idea within my campaign that's run. It's morphed over the decades, but it's a central thread that's kind of linked all of the sub campaigns that I've ever run. And Melcott is a key part of that. And Marchanter is now the biggest bad that they're aware of. Yeah, so it's developed over the years. And
so Zarathon asks, what's Melcott's relationship with Roxburgh? Do they have some defense against their gargoyles?
Well, yeah, I never really paid much attention to gargoyles as most people have in the past. It's out there, it's there, it's off to the distance. It's never really figured into my campaign at all.
Okay.
Dennis, I just did a blog article on gargoyles like a few days ago.
Oh,
I had
no.
never read the module before. And I'm reading this, I'm thinking, holy crap, this is next to Melcott. I had no idea.
Yeah, it's down there. It originally never had a location, I don't think. It got placed there at some point. Or
No,
did
it's
it
in the
actually
Jotuns.
say in the module? It's been
Yeah, it does.
Oh, okay. It's been a really long time since.
Yeah, the first page or two is like a wealth of good, Greyhawk lore, and then it just kind of goes off the rails.
Back at it again.
Yeah.
I've pretty much ignored it. I have to. I don't know if I've ever actually run that adventure. But now I'm going to have to go and read your blog article after this.
Yeah, so in '98, Dennis had shared enough of his stuff that Eric and I decided to put his city in the Flannis and make it official.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
it's
so
on the
cool.
4-part maps, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on the official map.
It's on the 4-part.
Think about that. That's like the be all end all.
There, Jay. We would have put Altamira there.
Gary, you make me feel bad about the past every time we discuss that too. I wish I could go back in time.
My stuff's not on that map either, Jay.
I wish I could go back in time. I would have done things a lot differently if I could. So I'm trying to make up for it now. So
yeah, you do.
Eric really latched onto that he really liked about Melkot was the idea of the dark city, the sort of the evil quarter of Melkot, where the buildings are so piled on top of each other that the second floors touch.
Oh,
and
nice.
So a lot of the roads are completely covered. From the air, it just looks like a solid mass of buildings.
Oh, wow.
So he really liked the idea of the dark city. That was his favorite part of Melkot, I think. But yeah, I threw a lot of things in and didn't have a chance to mention it while Len was on, but there is a Death Master in the cemetery in Melkot.
Oh yeah, that's right. We talked about that. I mean,
one of Len's creations from way back, the Death Master.
Yeah, Len was full of great ideas back in the day from Lehman's Tiny Hut and the Archer class and all that. And don't worry, I'll mention it to him next time I see him. Hey, Dennis has
wings. I'm just looking at Snafu's question about the detachable wings really disturbed me about that module.
Yeah, it's a head scratcher.
And no, there's no relation to the Melkotians as a people to the Melkotia family within my city.
So,
Cavaliers.
We wanted to reminisce about that because I'm really excited that on the Paizo 4-part map, Melkot is on there. Is that what you're saying, Gary?
Yep, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And it's mentioned in the Living Greyhawk Gazetteer as well.
That's wonderful.
So Dennis is one of the few people who got the original draft of the Living Greyhawk Gazetteer and was kind enough to provide his feedback.
Yeah.
In order to incorporate that into the draft. So, and he was one of the few that did a lot of work in that respect. So
I went through the whole thing with I adopted the moniker of Maldin, Slayer of Semicolons. Editing the LGG, there is so many semicolons. I forget who it was that had a propensity for those.
It must have been Fred or Eric, because I'm not a big fan of them.
Yeah, it must have been Fred then.
But
I'm the comma demon.
Yeah, but Gary Gygax used a lot of semicolons in the his early the setting book from '83. So there is a precedent for it.
That's true.
Yeah.
But I'd hear from Eric saying, I'm still waiting on Gary's submission. I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting. And then it'll arrive and says, okay, you have 2 days. So yeah, it was really fun to go through the material that those three guys were spewing out of their brains, were generating. It was fun seeing that stuff and having a chance to, put a bit of an imprint onto it and watching it be birthed, so to speak. No, it was, I really thank Eric for giving me the opportunity to participate in that. It was an awesome time. It was heady days of anything was possible with Greyhawk at that point, right?
I think anything's possible now.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I think
It
we're
was
right.
tangible then.
You mean tangible to go into published canon with the owner is what you're saying? Because
Yeah.
because now I think we're a step or two away from and people have different expectations about what's coming up in a couple months. But Dennis, I really think if, with a little luck here and there, you never know. So
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, a really, really big development would be if they opened up Judges Guild or
DM's Guild.
DM's Guild.
Oh, it'd
Yeah.
be monstrous.
Mhm.
Carlos, I don't know if Carlos would do it. I would do stuff. I would.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would. do
I
stuff
always
too.
joke about the Melcott boxed set that
That'd be awesome.
could be generated.
Yeah, we'll
because
see.
of
Yeah.
all the
You
material.
waited so long, Dennis, that people don't even do box sets anymore. So
Well, I know it would be
Yeah.
a Melco 700-page
collection
hardcover.
of stuff,
Box sets
but-
are Man,
Yeah, we'll
box sets
see
are so
what-
fun though.
And
Yeah.
when people talk about the possibilities of an official Greyhawk revival, I'm always kind of sitting on that fence. You hear arguments from both sides where if the company would throw their resources behind it and it would leap off and you'd get a lot more people into it, it would become huge, right? But there's that gamble of depending on who does it and what they do with it and what becomes canon. And then there's the group of people who say, well, we would actually prefer Wizards to never touch Greyhawk because they might damage it or they might turn it into
Hi,
something
Jason.
I don't want.
Hey, Jason.
It'll be Greyhawk, the times of troubles, and
A spell plague or
the spell plague, right?
Yeah.
And they've done things that
Well, we saw what happened with Forgotten Realms, and there were a
Yeah.
lot of fans who were not happy with that. So yeah.
There's also a third possibility, Dennis, which is the one which I think was most likely when at least when Mike Merles was speculating about it, which is that they just strip it down to the rails, take it back to 576,
Right.
and basically say no extra word that has not already been said. So it'd be just a reduction of Greyhawk into the
Yeah.
primer. And I don't think that would be of interest to anyone who was already a fan, but
No.
it might gain us some new fans. But
Yeah.
it definitely would be.
And you
step
can't
backward.
you can't build a marketing plan on it might gain us some new fans.
Right.
Yeah, we'll all stay our course, and whatever happens, happens, and we'll just keep on doing what we're all doing,
Mhm.
and have fun while we're doing it.
Yep.
That's the way I look at it.
It's just- there's
But
so
I
much
think while-
material that's being generated now.
I think while we have Dennis here, maybe we should get him to talk about the ugly history of the city of Greyhawk map.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, I
Yeah.
thought you would have already talked about that.
No, we haven't yet. No. So let's talk about that. Our Iron League discussion was mostly Iron Gate, which is cool. But let's get Dennis. I want to hear this. So
I mean, do we want to talk? Bring in the actual topic or no? It's up
Well,
to you.
we
It's
can
your-
have if you come
I
on
have some
in
stuff
2
for
weeks,
Iron
then we
League
have
later.
a special one.
It's
Yeah,
Jay's
sure.
favorite box set.
it's my favorite box set because in '93 I didn't have anything else. Right.
Yep. Now we have you here. So
Let's see.
yep.
I know you redid the city for the better. So why don't we hear?
Well, when I bought the box set, which was 1986, I think.
Was it that?
Um,
Wow, was that long?
Was it?
It was '89, wasn't it? I forget what year it was, but it was old.
Or was it 89? No, maybe you could be right. It might be 89. When it came, it was because it was long after Gary was gone out of the company, and I think he left in 85. Was it 85 or
Yeah,
86?
Yeah, end of
something like that.
'85. Yeah.
Yeah. something
Yeah.
like that.
Okay.
Yep.
So I mean, he teased the City of Greyhawk product for as long as I've known anything about Greyhawk, since 1980.
Yeah.
Even before that, he teased about the City of Greyhawk product. And the world of Greyhawk really needed some sort of city setting that could be used. And so all of us, great anticipation for this greatly needed product. And then finally, you know, years after he was gone, City of Greyhawk box set comes out, and I bought it, like, I mean, the day it arrived in the game shop, in the game store, and I opened it up. And the first thing that I did was I unfolded the maps, and that's when my heart dropped. Later on, as I got to read, you know, the stuff, I mean, the books, the gazetteers that were in there that Carl Sargent wrote. Well, he wrote the one with Rick Rose, yeah,
From the Ashes.
It's gold. Those books are gold. I love the material in the books. And that's what really makes the box set. It was an amazing box set. But the map, this is a city that is supposed to have 70,000 people in it.
Not enough buildings.
And when so you're aware of, you know, I had read the Gord books and how, you know, the Gary Gygax's description of Gord jumping from roof to roof and running through the thieves' quarter where it's all grungy and tight and close. It's a medieval city, right? This is the picture of the city of Greyhawk that I had, that I expected, and lo and behold, the map looks like parkland.
It was
Even
terrible.
the assassin's quarter is.
Yeah,
I would love to have a house there.
The slum quarter, yeah. All right, that makes sense. Yeah.
And so I was so incensed by this map that day, when I opened that box, I started redrawing the map. I started creating basically filling in. I took the original map, taped it to the window, put another big sheet of paper on there, and started filling in the spaces. And so I created this all new map, which then I used in my campaign. And I thought, well, this would be kind of a cool thing to make available to other people.
The link goes right to it.
So I posted the description of all of the changes that I had made to the original D&D news group. People started asking me for copies of it. So I went to a place that does blueprinting, like, because you couldn't get copies of big map sheets back then anywhere else. You know, you had to go to a place that did blueprints. And so I had what was called a white print. So it's not a reverse blueprint, it was a white print. And I printed off about 20 copies of those and sold them to people for basically the cost of the printing and postage. And so there are a couple of old people out there that still have copies of my white print.
Do you know anyone who would be willing to sell one?
Yeah, I have a copy still, but
no, I know you don't want to get rid of yours. I'm deadly serious. I would utilize it.
The redrawn map looks much nicer now, but
okay.
But it was all hand drawn, and so I thought, well, maybe Dragon might be interested, and I sent a copy of it to I'm trying to remember who the editor was at the time.
Was it Roger E. Moore back then?
It was Dave. No, it was Dave Gross.
Okay.
Dave Gross was editor at the time. I sent him a copy of it, and he came back that, well, it looks awesome, can't really do anything with it. What I didn't know at the time was that was right when they were having their printer problems, and everything was, I mean, well, according to Ryan, there was crying in the offices.
No.
A lot of people say that didn't actually happen, but WotC swooped in and kind of saved the day in that sense. But but I had hit Dragon just at the worst possible time that they could have put a supplement like that in. I didn't know that at the time, and I was really disappointed that he wasn't interested in making. I thought it would be an awesome magazine insert, but at that point they weren't doing anything, and so it's stopped there for a couple of years, and then when friend of mine, well, Noel Graham, whose screen name was Watcher, he got a copy of it as well. And what he did was he was a city planner and inspector, so he had access to technology that I didn't have at the time. And so he could scan a 3.5 by 2.5 foot sheet of paper. And so what he did was he scanned it and sent me a digital file. So at that point, then I imported it into an early version of Photoshop and started redrawing it digitally over top the scan. And I got it to a point where it was in pretty good shape. And that's when I sent the digital file to Eric saying, hey, what do you think of this? I'm going to put it up on my website. And he immediately emailed me back saying, don't do anything until I get back to you. And that was when he came up with the idea of putting it as an insert into the LGG. So that was 1999, I think. Yeah.
I'm an idiot. Is this what I have right here in this insert? You said insert into this? This is the map on the back insert? It's right here? Oh, we lost that. He froze.
Oh, crap.
I think it was in Living Greyhound Journal #1.
Oh, was it in Journal #1?
The Q
or
one
#2. One of those.
Okay.
Issues.
I got to try and get a hold of that. That's going to be a tough one, but I'm going to have to make the attempt to get that map. So, #1. All right, Amy. So
and you can only get his revised sewer maps on the website, I believe.
Correct.
Okay. Well, there goes Anna too. We must have had some kind of blip out there. That was weird. So, wow.
Zoom just cut out on me back in a sec.
No problem. Great discussion. Great idea to bring that up, Gary. Definitely. While we're waiting, Gary, why don't you give us some more insights as to going back to the Iron League while we're waiting?
So
for Living Greyhawk, you know,
Dennis and I were talking last night. It turns out that I'm probably the expert on the Iron League as well, because I wrote 3 out of 5 entries, I think.
Nice.
For the Living Greyhawk Journal. And, you know, when you think about the Iron League, if you're a fan of, say, you know, Game of Thrones in literature, or the English War of Roses, or the French Revolution, or even the American Revolution, you can take a lot of inspiration from that, where you're basically putting Ivid the First in the role of King George. You know, you've got this set of provinces that, you know, we're on the wrong side of the Civil War during the succession that followed the death of one of the overkings that were assassinated at the end of the Rax line. And that 10-year period or whatever of Civil War resulted in the Nalax, the northern cousins, winning and taking the throne. So the southern guys, which the Iron League mostly represents, you know, weren't too happy with that result. And at first they, you know, tried to handle things peaceably. They petitioned, you know, to have their grievances heard. And basically the Herzog of the southern province took the ambassadors and tortured them to death for the Overking's entertainment, which is one of the more vivid little episodes that the original 1983 guide painted for us. You know, they said, wow, this, so I was like, wow, this is really Games of Thrones-ish if you think about it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, this has that kind of gritty detail. So the entire South, after that happened, basically said, okay, now we know, you know, we've got enemies on our hands. So they decided to form a league. And if you look at all their pennants, all their heraldry, they all have this sort of like knot-like feature in the right-hand corner, I think.
Right.
I love that.
And it kind of represents their solidarity. And I think what they decided to do, so it's named after essentially Iron Gate because it's sort of the capital of the league or the preeminent member of it. And Iron Gate had for centuries been sort of the Great Kingdom's southern port on the Azure Sea. So it was this amazingly, tremendously overbuilt castle that they had put down there, meant to never be overcome, never to be taken. It was partly built either by the designs of or through the assistance of the famous figure Dairn, who was known for her protective, I guess that's her sphere of influence, is defenses and design of armor and defenses, I think.
Well, that came back to haunt them.
Yeah. So, and then you had Onwall join them, which was sort of like the most westernmost part of the Great Kingdom on the south, and then ID and Sunday and Lordship Hills kind of came on a few years later. So at the core is ID, Iron Gate, and Sunday, and then you also have the Dwarven Kingdom of the Iron Hills.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
Dwarven Kingdom of the Iron Hills, are they part of the Iron League, or are they just allies?
So it was interesting. The 1983 guide was really resistant to calling the demi-human realms actual kingdoms in the planet. Very few of them, other than Selene, actually have an entry.
Right.
And I take that kind of as an oversight. I think, a lot of these really are independent realms and should have, their own entries. And I think the Iron Hills is one of those places where the Great Kingdom kind of made peace with them, but never ruled over them. And so in some sense, they are part of the League, but they aren't, because they aren't a province in revolt, because they never were part of the Great Kingdom in the first place. But they are, a lockstep ally of Iron Gate. So that's part of.
I mean, they're right in the middle of it.
They're right, exactly. And those hills, if you want to traverse those hills and you're on the wrong side, you're good luck, because those dwarves are waiting for you. And so, I mean, one of the great battles, which I'd love Mike to cover someday in one of his efforts, is this Battle of 1,000 Banners, where basically the South Province, so the South Province was both part of the Iron League and yet not, because it was ruled over by a cousin of the Overking, who basically was a tyrannical, King John type, who said, I'll do whatever it takes to bring these guys back in line. And you had basically this Herzog saying, hey, all these landless princes and all these landless lords that, never got a piece of the action, gather together, form an army, and take Iron Gate. And if you take Iron Gate, it's all yours. So they marched, they surrounded the city, and all we know is Iron Gate survived the siege and by some trick defeated that massive army that had, hundreds of pennants representing all these individual lords and their retainers.
Okay.
So
Get to work on that, Anna.
Two things, Gary. The name of it's the Battle of 1,000 Pennants?
Banners.
Battle of 1,000 Banners. What year?
Oh gosh, I want to say 450s, but
so it's right after they were founded in 447, 3 years afterwards.
It was kind of the first revenge action on the part of the South Province.
Battle of 1,000 Banners. Okay.
It's one of the more famous battles in the entire history of the Great Kingdom.
Yeah. So the actual how the battle was won is not really said.
Yes, we don't really know what the trick was. Was there
Anyhow, my hypothesis, I think initially, is this is when the dwarves join in.
Exactly. Because the dwarves would have probably been behind the army. So they would have been in a position to envelop the army from the opposite side and break the siege.
And they would smash a bunch of rabble nobles.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if Dennis is having problems because of a disconnect like that. Sometimes it's hard to log back on. So I'm trying to get him. Let me ask him here, having issues. So here's a question. David Leonard asked, is there any relationship between Keelan and the Iron League at all?
Well, there was a point in which the Great Kingdom and Keelan were almost facing each other on these two peninsulas. You had the Pomarge that was part of Keeland, and you had Onwall that was part of the Great Kingdom, and this little isthmus of, this little waterway in between them. But I think at that point when the Iron League was formed, Keeland had already lost the Pomage.
Here we go. This is what we're talking about.
And so there was, there's a little bit of a timing issue there. I don't think there is any relationship, except to the fact that, Iron Gate is as major as you report. And I'm sure Gradsoul doesn't want to see it fall under the Scarlet Brotherhood.
Now, I was going to put a little twist on that.
Yeah.
Post-wars, I think you could say maybe there's a relationship between Qulin and the Iron League or the Golden League or whatever. In that when the Lordship of the Isles went rogue and joined the Scarlet Brotherhood, then they became like persona non grata on the Azure Sea. So I could see like a Q-Land Iron League agreement, like a privateer type agreement.
Well, according to this reference, which I swore I was not going to bring out today, because I'm not a fan. Let me go back to page. According to this, the Scarlet Brotherhood fights at Gradsoul Bay. There's a Battle of Gradsoul and Keelan.
That's me.
Okay.
Are you talking about the Lace Orth Journal?
I'm in this Scarlet Brotherhood reference, they talk about this battle with the Scarlet Brotherhood, which I don't care about at all. But that's what it says happens here. That they actually Keeland actually wards them off in this reference. So
okay,
the Lordship of the Isles actually joins, is not invaded and overtaken by Scarlet Brotherhood. They join them.
I think they capitulated.
Yeah, there's an interesting history with the Lordship of the Isles. I wrote that entry in the LGG.
Oh, cool.
And one of the things I kind of discovered in my research is that it's really a mixture of two cultures that really didn't want to come together. One is
coming back.
This original Sul culture that had gotten there first, and a Meridian culture represented by the Iridi who came there later and then defeated those Sul and incorporated them. So these, what's the name of that town?
Sulward?
No.
Duxcan?
By the way, Duxcan, right? Duxcan, apparently.
Dullstrand.
No, Duxchan.
Dutch.
Yeah.
Duxcan.
Yeah. Maybe the X is silent. Maybe it's Ducan.
Ducan.
But apparently those were like major pirates on the eastern side of the waters, and they harassed everybody up and down the coast. And eventually the Great Kingdom got tired of that, sent the Sea Barons down there, and the Sea Barons clobbered them and incorporated those islands into the Lordship Isles. And they founded they had a capital on one of the islands called Sulward, which literally means protection from the Sul. So it is really hot down there. These guys don't like each other. And so the Sul side of the Lordship Isles has always been wanting to become independent and get themselves out from under that yoke. And here comes the Scarlet Brotherhood with emissaries and ships and the additional resources needed to make that happen. So unfortunately the Iridian lords who were part of the Iron League were pushed out, and that's how the Lordship Isles dropped out and became part of the Scarlet Brotherhood.
What happened, Anna?
Something with the internet. So I'm on my phone now. So
okay, it could be storm somewhere, or whatever, and that's what Dennis maybe had issues with. All right, well, at least you're on. That's great. So Gary's given us a lot of Iron League information here, which I really appreciate.
So Jay, if the Scarlet Brotherhood attacked Q-Land, it was with Lordship ships.
Right. That's what I'm saying, is that and Sea Prince's ships.
Right. And then in my Sea Prince's rewrite in the Orth Journal is what I was getting at. Yeah. I had the Sea Princes in Q-Land team up to repel.
Oh, I love that 100 times more. I love your story. I'm not a Scarlet Brotherhood fan. East side of the map, right, Gary? Keep them on the east side. Just kidding.
Yeah, I mean, I could see them competing for things like in the immediate jungle with other powers, but they should not be an overpower. They should be just one of the other powers in competition with everybody else.
Yep.
There's a lot of detail in this reference, and I know one of the guys from Wandering DMs, Daniel, said he liked this as his favorite reference. I don't like this anywhere near as much as I like the Slavers, but there's a lot of this was Sean Reynolds. It's written. I mean, there's a lot of detail on the Scarlet Brotherhood here. I don't want to get into it.
The jungle parts you can't match,
right,
with anything else. I would have done the Scarlet Brotherhood a little differently, I believe,
Yeah, extort. There's supposed to be a hidden power, and I agree on that. So, Gary, my question to you on the Gazetteer is: when did the South Province just become the Kingdom of Alyssa, and why did they change the name?
Okay, well that doesn't really have to do with the Iron League.
Oh, it doesn't? Okay.
No,
Okay.
but it does. It comes after Sargent's material, after the Greyhawk Wars.
Okay.
So essentially, the Great Kingdom started to splinter apart, and something happens at the capital of Roxas, which is not exactly clear. I'm not a big fan, I think, of what is suggested happened. It's a little too high magic for my Greyhawk, but apparently the capital falls and becomes inaccessible. So you have a struggle then between all these noble houses trying to decide who's going to succeed Ibid V. And his cousin up in the north says, of course I'm the Overking now because I've got the closest claim and he was my cousin. And
yeah, he's a Naelex and all that.
He should be the Overking. And of course he's so distant from the heart of the Great Kingdom, no one wants to accept that. And they were probably already tired of Naelex Overkings as it is. So what you ended up happening was another group came to power, which was the House of Darman, which was never really mentioned in the 1983 guide. It was sort of a sergeant creation that to fill in sort of the gap in that big middle part of the Great Kingdom where we didn't have a lot of detail.
Okay.
But it makes sense. They're sort of a merchant house. They make the bread for the kingdom. They trade the goods.
Economic power.
Yeah.
The military.
Yeah.
They are the powers in various cities where we really didn't have any details in the center of the kingdom. So their great prince Zavener becomes the king of the south. Of course, he still lays claim to the north as well, but obviously there's this mutual disassociation with each other, and he only becomes king of the south. And the south has always admired Alyssa, which is a pre-existing Flan kingdom, which the Iridians had discovered in the early migration.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so Queen Alyssa of the Nightingale fame in the 1983 guide. She's
the Flan Kingdom.
Right, she's the possessor of the artifact known as Queen Alyssa's Nightingale. And essentially they had like a utopia for a while. And the reputation must have been so good that even the Iridians said, wow, this is something we would love to emulate. But at some point, Alyssa's gone, and they incorporate the kingdom as the South Province. And so it always has this reputation among Airity as something special. And so they took the name as the name of their new kingdom in the South.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not know it was a pre-existing Iridian. I never knew that. So that's complete new information to me.
Alyssa is contemporary with Solm. And I mean, that's how old it is.
Right. We're talking pre-devastation of the Solm.
Yeah.
So we're going back to 2,500 years?
1,700.
1,700, okay.
Hang on a second. I have it here somewhere. If I just get the...
Wow.
Here again. Yep.
Okay.
This would be like Vecna, Elven Kingdom, little ancient stuff.
Oh, I can't see it, of course, because it's on the internet.
But it wasn't an expansionist. It wasn't an expansionist kingdom at the time.
No, it's like 1,100 years ago or something like that.
It seemed to be one of the handful that might have been somewhat beneficent and not ruled by a lich.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, Gary, I'm going to keep on picking your brain here. Can you tell me about Sundi and the Grey Elven connection here with the Rearwood?
That's always been kind of a conundrum because somehow these elves place themselves under Airity rule, but we don't really have a lot of canon on why that would happen.
Exactly.
And given their attitudes now, why that would ever have continued for very long. But
I was going to suggest gentrification.
Well, possibly.
I always assumed they were there long before the Airdy came.
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible that they might
assumption
they were there the Lendor Isles that settled on the continent.
Airdy has the central, meaning it was one of the elven kind of center parts of the Flanese long before the Airdy came there.
Yeah.
That's always been
the Audrey kind of got wiped out.
Exactly. It was the biggest forest land in the Flanese. and I simply assume, and you have the
Grandwood.
exactly, and you have also have the Elven city center that where the bitterness and all that played out and stuff.
Yeah.
So I simply assumed that the elves were there long before the Iridians came, and then when the Iridian came and overran them, they had to. Some stayed in the Adri and some fled somewhere, and they might have been there already.
But they're different. They're gray elves and not high elves. These are gray elves.
Right.
Yeah, that's how you interpret that. Yeah.
Well, that's why I think the Iron Hills dwarves should have been in the Iron League, because of Sundee was in it.
I've always assumed they are. That's why I put the Iron League symbol on their shield.
Oh, you did?
On the map.
Here we go.
Yep.
We're going to go to the map.
I think the distinction, Mike, is that Sundee doesn't have a huge human population, whereas the Iron League do not. They're an exclusive enclave of hill dwarves, whereas the Glorioles, that mountain range, also has a kingdom of dwarves, of mountain dwarves. And they're not mentioned at all, except in that little blurb in the middle of the geography section.
Yeah, but that's typical in every Greyhawk product. Everything that is not human centric or has a large part of humanity ruling or as part of their culture or political system are kind of hardly described. That's been one of my things that I've done. I've kind of put back the demi-humans on and even the humanoids on the same level politically and all that as the humans, meaning they have they might not be well organized, but they're described, named, and stuff like that. So it's
I've noticed that Anna's put in borders. She's mooted borders for where these things might.
Yes, the orange. But that's a layer that if you don't, you could always pop that layer off too.
Yeah.
But this is a really offbeat question just because it concerns my campaign, so I have to ask it. Okay, well, did you guys hear that? Hopefully the audience didn't hear that. So, Gray Elves and Rearwood, I have cousins from them to Selene. Do you think there's a relation going back a couple thousand years, or am I reaching there?
I mean, you could definitely suggest something for your own campaign. I think anything beyond 1,000 years, we try to stay away from.
Got it. Yeah. Okay.
I was going to say the dwarves of Ulick, are they related to the dwarves in the Iron League region?
Apparently, no.
Because they're hill to mountain, right?
Oh.
So one of our fan authors, you remember Jeff Hand?
Yeah.
Or Jet Hand. He actually did a really interesting piece where he showed where the 7 kingdoms of the dwarves were.
I never saw the final layout.
Yeah, I saw a lot of the drafts of that, and he definitely, would confirm all the locations for that. And the suggestion was that no, the Ulick dwarves are actually descended from whatever the Lort Mills dwarves were. So the Lort Mills dwarves had a kingdom there when that mountain range got sort of played out and they moved south. They kind of abandoned it and it became overrun with humanoids. And they're descended from that kingdom, which was apparently one of the great kingdoms. And then the Iron Hills is completely a separate branch.
Huh.
Interesting. Interesting discussion. Gary, can you talk a little bit about why ID being an original member with the Iron League? I know it's a smaller nation, and here it is here in the south. I guess it's seafaring, according by its heraldry. It has a lot of seafaring capability, but that seems to be one of the original members, according to the lore.
Yeah, it's definitely more Soul oriented than Oridian. Most of these states in the Iron League tend to be more Soul Oridian than just Oridian or Oridian with a little bit of Flan mixture. So I think there's always been kind of an independent streak there.
Similar to Keeland.
Similar to Keeland in that sense.
Okay.
These people were kicked out by the Kiowish, the early Kiowish, the Naheli and the Rolla, because there was a great competition between all the houses that crossed through Slorotan's passage. And so these guys just weren't able to compete with the other guys. So they said, okay, we're gonna, embark and find our own lands. And this is what they came up with. They settled these coastlines. And so there's always been an independent streak. The house that rules ID is not one of the major houses of the Great Kingdom, so they always had an excuse to kind of be independent.
Okay.
A lot of these provinces were actually sub-enfeoffed to the Herzog of the South Province. So once the Crandon Herzog of the South Province was overthrown by Ibid I, and he put in his own cousin, none of these guys felt like they had any reason to swear fealty to that guy. So,
okay.
And I think that was the exact same time as the your infamous endless death torture happened to someone in the
of permanent delights or whatever they called it, or
yeah.
Well, I was just like, not a good use for Ring of Regeneration. I would go on that argument all day long. So, yeah, and they, I know they were doing that to someone in the Living Greyhawk from the Bandit Kingdoms, right? Casey told us that story where they put the guy up against the tower and they did the same thing to him, but they finally freed him. It's like, oh my gosh, that's awful.
Mm-hmm.
So, I asked, all right, so what are the order of your points? I'll tell you that in a second, Canadian. So, Gary, give us a little synopsis on what do you think can be done with this area? I know that Denis was going to ask people, he had a project for Iron Gate on his website where he wanted people to come up with characters and locations within the city and ideas to develop it. And I know he was going to talk about that before he got disconnected. So,
I can kind of guess what he was thinking. So back in March and April, when the community sort of started to reconnect again a little bit, we sort of mooted the idea of maybe reviving the project and creating something like a 64-page gazetteer on Iron Gate, and have people contribute elements to it in order to create something that would be like a mini setting for Greyhawk. And he would work on the map. That was definitely the part of it that he wanted to work on. I'd probably just work on the history and the politics of the area. And yeah, I think he's definitely interested. I mean, he's definitely interested in continuing to do that at some point. Obviously, if DM's Guild opened up, that would be huge. That would be one of the first things we'd probably want to do.
So you doubt before Spine Castle?
You might have got me there. Yeah, it'd be tough. It'd be a tough choice for me because I've got places I love all over the map. It's really hard to choose, but the Iron League is a place where if your PCs want to run like a political campaign where they're heroes and they're stopping agents from all these foreign powers from taking over the city of Iron Gate, or they're going out there and spying on enemy camps, and enemy capitals, and it could be a really interesting political campaign for someone who's into things like Game of Thrones.
It seems that way, and it seems like another opportunity, I guess, missed for my group. That iPhone has entered the waiting room for this meeting, so I bet you this is Denis on his iPhone.
Oh, cool! He had the same problem I had.
Yeah. Yeah. There we go. Yeah. Did you lose power?
No.
It looks like he's going around in a circle. Canadian, if you watch our games on Thursday nights or Saturday night specials, you can actually affect the gameplay by giving hero points to, even with cheers as well, their special ones to the players. It's kind of a fun interaction. So, hey, he's connecting. So there we go.
So answering Jim in the chat, the reason why Iron Gate was never fleshed out by Living Greyhawk is because they weren't allowed to touch it.
Right. Yeah, because Denis kind of went over that just for a little bit. How Eric said, we're reserving it, right? So,
right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if Paizo had maintained control of Dragon and Dungeon, we probably would have done it in the pages of Dungeon as some kind of adventure arc.
So, Denis, can you hear us? He's trying.
Yeah, I can hear you finally. Our internet.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. I had the same. problem
you had
here too.
storms.
Can you
Yeah,
hear me?
yeah, you're chopping up real
Yeah.
bad, but we'll get through it. So, Gary and I talked about how your Iron Gate project, how you want people to give you content on characters and locations within Iron Gate and get that up and running again. So that's what we just discussed. Plus, we went over a
Oh,
lot.
okay.
Plus, we went over a lot of the Iron Gate regions and locations. Gary was kind enough to give us a lot of background history that was really fantastic. I did not know that Alyssa was an Iridian land that was there for thousands of years. I did not know that.
Flan, yeah, Flan.
Flan. I'm sorry, it was Flan. Okay, I
Mhm.
apologize. Yeah,
Yep.
I did
Yep.
not. I did not know that. Now, Dennis is from Canada, but not.
Ontario.
Yeah, more from near the Michigan border there. So
Yeah, right across the river from Detroit.
yeah. So Dennis, I know you're gonna have some issues here over time, but that's okay. We always go over time on
Sorry.
great talks. Oh, it's no problem. What?
Internet would totally. I'm on my wife's phone.
That's awesome,
Internet
man.
went totally down.
So what would you like to say in closing? Because we're definitely going to have you back if you're willing to come back for a lot of other topics.
Oh, geez. Yeah, I don't know. Anna and I she mentioned it actually with when you guys had Eric. Anna and I are looking at the globe. I've said,
Mhm.
so we have that. I was going to send you
Yeah,
an image
I'm going
of it.
to. I got internet back here, so I'm going to fire up my. I'll be back on Zoom again.
Okay, sounds good.
Oh,
In a
so you
second
went
here.
out too,
Yep.
Anna?
You went out at the same time. It was weird.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it went right out at the same time.
Yeah, so Anna and I are working on a redo of well, ironically, when I got cut off, hopefully I won't get cut off again.
No
When
problem.
I was talking about the City of Greyhawk map, Anna and I are working on a City of Greyhawk map redo.
Great. That's awesome.
So,
How radical are you going to go this time?
well, I mean, it's going to be the same.
Are you going to keep the
Basically,
bean shape?
My white boxes, my millions of white boxes will still be there, but it's going to have a topographic grounding to it.
Are we going to put the old city near the river this time?
No, it's the city is going to be the same layout basically, but it is getting a new image, so that I'll be able to put up a high res view of it. I've never put a high res view of the original map because, well, technically Wizards owns it. So this will be a version that they don't own. So I'll be able to put a high res view of it. That was the main purpose for redrawing it, actually, so I could do that. But yeah, I don't know. I'm working on various.
I'm
bits and
sorry.
pieces.
My computer internet works, but the Zoom client doesn't work. So okay, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Yeah, all right.
Back again.
Go ahead, Dennis.
You sound okay,
Yeah.
Anna.
Just working on bits of the website, which takes me forever to do. So
Well, we learned tonight already. There's so much great content there. I mean, just the one on the items, the special materials you can get out of Iron Gate is awesome, just in itself. I'm going to really delve in. Maybe while I have my laptop on the beach, I may delve into your locations, sitting there under an umbrella, chilling out, and finding some new ideas for content for my campaign, Dennis.
yeah,
So
the new materials come from all over the map.
well, that's great. That's great. It is a resource, and I've linked it multiple times, and I'll link it again. It's a resource that everyone on here should go to and take as much information as you can from Dennis's site. It's the oldest one that for Greyhawk that's been on the web, and there's a ton of data. It's 40+ years of data.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yep.
So Dennis, did you spill any beans on our future
Yeah,
kind of
just
effort?
did.
I mentioned that we're working on a update of the City of Greyhawk map. Yeah.
Okay, you mentioned it. Okay.
Yeah.
Ve-
So it's gonna look cool. It's not. Don't expect a radical reimagination. That's not the idea.
It will be my first kind of
But it's gonna look.
into the city. So yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna look cool.
Well, that's all that matters, is that you know, more new content comes out all the time, and that it gets you know, it's an enhancement for someone else to play in that city, and that's a great thing. And I'll be using it. You guys have convinced me to kind of update my map. So that's why first thing I'm going to do is try and get a hold of that original map out of the Living Greyhawk Gazetteer, if I can, out of what was it, issue 1 or 2? Does anyone know? Was it issue 1 or 2 that it came out of? Because I'm already going to spend. I'm probably going to spend an arm and a leg to get it, but that's okay. It sounds like it's worth getting. So,
you mean the City of Greyhawk map?
Yeah.
I think that was LGJ 2.
It was 2? Okay. Well,
I think, yeah.
Okay.
1 was QLN, 2 had City of Greyhawk stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I want an original. So, Dennis, while we have now, you're clear. What would you have something you'd like to say in closing?
Thanks for inviting me. It's been a blast, and thanks to Gary for supporting me.
You're welcome.
Especially, I had no idea I'd get kicked off the net, but yeah, no, it's been fun. Let's do this again.
We are. So,
definitely.
Dennis and I have already chatted, and I may have said this earlier on, or maybe I didn't. I know we were chatting the other day when we did a test. We are both second edition DMs, which is great. You know, 1E, 2E for me, and we both use specialty priests. So I guarantee that we're going to have a Gavin show where we're going to share our specialty priests, and we're going to go over what we've each done, and maybe trade some, and give the whole audience some options with specialty priests. So that'll be down the road.
You need to talk to them about artifacts as well.
Well, we can do that too, man. We can do that too. Absolutely. So,
that the map of Iron Gate that was just up this moment ago that shows the river valley. There's a brief little story which maybe Anna can relate to with that. I originally had created, that was from a sketch map that I did by hand in Photoshop.
This one.
And yeah, that one there. I just sketched it out in Photoshop. And I originally had drawn the city itself reversed, with the river on the left-hand side and the steep side of the hill on the left. And then Gary and I decided, well, no, actually the steep side should be on the Erdi side, where they have the big battle of 1,000 men, right? And so what I did was I just cut out around the city and flipped it. When I did that, there was a little piece of river left behind, which became the swamp there. And just by modifying the map, for one thing, suddenly the swamp appeared. And and the idea came to me, Scumtown. So
like Shacktown.
Yeah, like Shacktown. And that's how that little area just got created. It was just a fluke of, cutting and pasting in the map. And I'm sure Anna kind of experiences that as she's creates new areas within her map just by modifying something that's totally unrelated.
Happy accident.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is
anyway.
That's cool.
Just wanted to mention that.
No, that's a cool story, definitely.
That also even happens in the writing sphere. Christoph had commissioned me to write that piece about Saragrim the Good Lich, based on a Spellfire card that he had showed me, and I'd never even had Spellfire, so I didn't even know this thing existed. And as I thought about it, and I thought about it more, and I came up with a backstory, I suddenly felt like, wow, this is actually something that I needed and will slot in really perfectly with some of the other stuff I was working on. So now he's integral. He's going to be integral to the backstory of Spine Castle.
Imagine that from a game and a card. And the
That
connect.
was so, yeah, that was so close. Gary, that was so close to some things I did for my Rel Devin campaign. So now I have to modify my campaign a bit because yours was so cool. So, but it was very, very close. I had the same basic idea, but I did it differently. But it's what you did was so super cool.
We can't wait to see your campaign stuff, Anna, that you're going to be releasing.
Yeah, so I'll mention some of the alternate version of some of the same theme that I did for it. So yeah, that's super cool. And you gave me some awesome names in that article that I didn't do because the characters never got close to them, so to speak. So there,
yeah,
the characters never got aware.
Sorry to add something more to the map.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
We have an audience question. Canadian Ancient Gamer asked, when was Iron Gate founded? What year?
Or if I remember correctly,
in the 100s. But that is actually based on a Oridian city built on a previous Sul city, which was founded by 3 female witches, basically. They have the foundations of a keep there in Iron Gate on the southeastern side called Siren Keep, named after these 3 witches they had to defeat in order to win that location.
I think I saw that in the article, right?
Ooh,
yeah.
Yep.
So Iron Gate does have this one little adventuring menu right inside of it, if people can gain access to the dungeons underneath that keep.
Hellcarn's Pit, that or beyond that?
That's another location. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so they can go into Siren's Keep, is what you're saying?
So the interesting thing about Iron Gate is it's really a 3-dimensional city. What you see from the surface is only a part of the city. The dwarves that live in Iron Gate have actually built downward levels of the city where a significant proportion of the inhabitants live. And the further you go, the fewer people you'll find, but at some point it just connects to the Underdark.
City of Stairs.
So the way station in between, I like how it says in this article, the doors are shut and people are waiting for the doors to open on either side to go through to the Underdark or through the Iron Gate, and then there's this bar.
It's the Underdark version of an airlock.
That, I mean, yeah, it's like it kind of reminds me of, oh gosh, please don't take like Between Heaven and Hell. What do you call that?
Purgatory.
It reminds me of a purgatory almost.
It is. It's exactly a purgatory.
Well, and the irony of that is that within that airlock is the entrance to the multiverse, basically via the World Serpent Inn.
Exactly.
Okay. So I'm going to ask a dumb question. How does the airlock get opened?
I mean, there's a mechanism. It's built by dwarves. You know, dwarves, they figure things out.
Okay.
So I think
it's rigged so that only one door at a time can actually be open.
Exactly. One door is being open, the other one has to shut.
Ah, on the other end is what you're talking about. Okay.
I've seen medieval city gates that works that way, and they use they have like a drawbridge inside that acts as the counterweight, so one of them is up and the other one is down, so to speak. And you can do the same thing with doors and huge chains and stuff.
And of course we have patches of orth blood down there, so people are always digging,
right.
You know, and so the city's on constant watch for people to dig too close to something they're not supposed to get to, like create a breach between 2 parts of the city they're not supposed to. And I think, didn't we even suggest maybe that there were like dark creeper societies below this level, that, you know, the Underdark was open to, so we wanted to do something that wasn't, you know, your usual, you know, drow and other Underdark races. I think we were suggesting that maybe there was like a dark creeper society down there with all the variants of that.
Yeah, and there's a hook as well for an illithid wizard or something.
What?
After some mythical weapons that were smithed by
a guy who mysteriously died in his forge after creating these supposedly amazing weapons. There's that as well. There's quite a few hooks that we ended up never being able to squeeze into the article. I have a page of those somewhere.
Can you please link them?
One of the many things that. Well, no, I mean, it's a physical page. That
Oh,
it's not one of the many things. Yeah, it's not on the webpage. It's one of the many things that I keep meaning to get onto the webpage.
Well, Maldin,
but yeah, I've got a link.
Dennis, I told him basically that if DM's Guild ever opened up, we'd race in there with Iron Gate.
Oh my God, it is so.
Yeah.
Greyhawk is iconic. But this, what you've told me tonight, this is much more interesting. The depth of it, or the 3D aspect of it, all the connections, there's a lot. You could fully adventure and never leave the city.
Yep.
Well, and we've not talked about all about within the Iron Gate project. Hooks in the area within the mines and what the hobloggers have been doing there.
Oh yeah. You're cutting out really bad, Dennis.
Up on the plateaus. Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
There are lots and lots of hooks for the surrounding area.
Well, I hope we all see it one day, and it's maybe someone. I mean, mapping it would be almost would be a Herculean task by the depth of it. It sounds like, but then again, I guess you wouldn't want to because you want the DMs to have fun with it at that point. Mike, what do you think, man, about that whole? Wow, it's pretty impressive. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. If I had to pick a place to restart Greyhawk, but I couldn't use Greyhawk, Iron Gate's the first place. Yeah.
Yeah. It's fantastic.
Yep.
So, Dennis, while anything else you'd like to say as far as in closing? I mean, thank you so very much for hopping back on. I know we're having a little technical issue there, but what a great discussion this has been all night. What a fantastic having you.
Thanks for inviting me. It was fun.
Fantastic, and
Wonderful.
we'll talk in the future about some future projects, and keep check out that October 4th for Ask the Experts. We want to have a wonderful discussion to end up Virtual Greyhawk Con, and I know you've tentatively agreed, and that's fantastic. So, Gary, what would you like to say in closing, man?
Well, let's just keep it focused on Dennis. I think
Good.
what you're what you're getting here is the best of Greyhawk. I mean, Dennis is, represents us very well, and I would say a lot of his opportunities have come just because he's such a nice guy too. So I really admire him, and I cherish his friendship, and hopefully we're both kicking around for years to come.
Yeah.
Awesome to hear. So this is a new first for a raid, Dr. Faust Painting Clinic. Thank you so very much for coming in, and welcome to our discussion. As we're just finishing up here, we had some technical issues with two of our guests, but please sit around and hang out a little bit. We got a whole bunch of shout outs coming and some discussion. But wow, thank you so very much for that raid. Really appreciate it. Well said, Gary. Well said, and you really educated me on a lot of the history of the Iron League when Dennis DC'd tonight. Stuff I had no clue about, and I really appreciate that this evening. Thank you for coming on as well. And I know there's always going to be topics that we need your knowledge on. So.
Rich on Grey Talk has talked today about an idea which seems, obvious and what, surprising hasn't been done before, but he wants to put together a guide where you can maybe give DMs ideas of where to set different kinds of campaigns in the Flannis, maybe going country by country and saying, here's where you would do this kind of campaign, and maybe bullet point ideas on everything. And, that could be something that, could be used by DMs to just sort of flip through and say, okay, I want to do a dwarf and human campaign, some kind of Warhammer type thing. And I would pick Iron Gate to do that. You know, so maybe it's something we'll start to put together in the next few days and weeks.
Well, he could have asked me about doing stuff too. I'd be more than happy to do a half. As he said, like a half page. I saw that chat.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'd be more than happy to contribute to that as well, and I imagine all of us up here would be more than happy to do that. That would be an absolute blast to become part of that. So definitely a great idea. That's Longitalos, correct? On here.
Right.
Okay. So here's a good story. He and 3 of his friends / relatives. I'm not sure if it's his son or brother, but are playing and are already the 4 of them requested to be together, and they'll be playing in a Living Greyhawk game DM'd by Casey for Virtual Greyhawk Con.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, the second Casey's game, and Casey's still on his honeymoon, so that's why he hasn't been on. So that's why we haven't seen him in a bit. But our Draco will be back. So very cool to hear. All right, so Mike, thanks for coming on. I know you were out. What do you got? What do you got us in closing / shout out here?
Oh, I got nothing new, but I did want to say this is like the best group I could be on the stream with right now. That's why I rushed back. You know, I feel like a big virtual group hug here because Gary got me started in the Greyhawk community with Cannon Fire. Dennis propped up my comic when my janky comic website was not doing so well. He put my stuff on his website. Anna legitimized my old stuff by putting it on her maps. And Jay, you've kept my Greyhawk streaming thing going. So this is my group.
Awesome.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Well, we'll have to do this group again then sometime, right?
Yeah.
Think of another topic. Maybe we'll delve into Melcott in depth for like 2 hours at one point.
Yeah, that will be so cool. Yeah.
Get some stories from your campaign,
we
Dennis.
Barely touched on the Sheldamar Valley and the Sheldamar Valley chat. So
yeah,
that's true. That's absolutely true. So we'll get some of those discussions.
You hit a little bit of it there. Yeah. Thing about Sheldamar Valley is it's just so huge. So much stuff is there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's my favorite area, obviously. Yeah. So.
And Dennis is also an Underdark expert. So if we ever did a Greyhawk Underdark,
exactly.
I gotta write that down.
That's the thing.
It's in Melcott's backyard.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I've already consulted him on that, and I will consult him again. Yeah.
We have not gone there yet. Do you know that? We haven't gone there.
No, we haven't. I've stayed away from it almost deliberately for a while.
Kind of a blind spot in my knowledge.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, mine only goes as far as D3, really, for the most part, and some other goofy stuff I created, under Glipdel and the Principality of Ulick, and that's all mostly comedy relief. So that would be a good one to discuss.
I've collected tidbits of information over the years, so I'm starting to have a collection of interesting things to put on the Underdark map.
So Longitalos, Anna is working in her last seminar, put out a pre-Underdark map that she had been working on.
It's a plan. It's in the work, so to speak. It's in the concept stage. So I'm collecting information, and I'm also working a little bit on what technology, how to present it, and stuff like that, because it's an interesting environment from a cartography perspective as well as from an adventure fantasy Greyhawk perspective too. And then it's a lot of geology because you're literally in the geology. So I would, I want Maldin's help on this one. So
Go ahead, Gary.
I like how Dennis used colors in order to suggest depth in the various maps that he has. So I think maybe to do something like that.
Well, there's the layered PDF that shows,
But it's something that I think requires GIS tools. Yeah, because that way you can layer it properly and you can style it as needed and stuff like that. So
we need Anna's help to be able to rotate it into 3D and actually look at it vertically.
Well, yeah, we need to project it on the globe too. So and we can project it in 3D on the planet too. So that's
Dennis, did you show Jay your globe?
I was going to, but then when I disconnected, I lost access to all of that. But another time.
Save this content.
We will, yes, we will. The great thing about all of our shows is we never finish the topics we discussed, that came on in the first place
Yeah,
in
we
its
have to go back
entirety.
again. So
So we have to go back again, and that is a great thing about the show. So Anna, what do you want to say in closing here, shout out
well,
wise?
yeah. First, I have to agree with Gary that Dennis is just an awesome guy and has so many cool things with Greyhawk and stuff. So
My
yeah,
son
it's
is finally hearing that his dad actually is cool.
oh, that is awesome. Yeah, that is awesome. Yeah.
It's been 12 years, but finally happened.
Yeah.
Did
Yeah. Okay.
That's
Sorry.
awesome. That's nice.
That's so cool. So yeah, I just need to say that many times. It's
Well, thanks. Thanks.
awesome.
That's-
Yeah. And then yeah, so I'm and now we got some cool. I didn't want to spill the beans, but Dennis and me, we have been chatting back and forth for some long time about doing some City of Greyhawk stuff, and we actually did a project back in 2006 or something like that, just a little pre-study.
We started and we both got busy doing
Yeah,
other
exactly.
things.
We got busy, and it was also before the technology was not in place to really do something cool with it.
Yeah.
Now it's coming in place, and now the technology is there. So we're going to dip
Well,
our
you've been
feet
taking mapping to an art form that has never been seen before. It's just the stuff that you're doing is amazing, Anna.
Oh, thank you.
And it's just getting more and more amazing.
Yeah, but I need.
And,
Yeah,
and
we
when
need.
you can tie all of that to a live GIS, and it's just I can't even. Words don't. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, so the Greyhawk, that I see it is something that I will probably take 5-6 years to work on, and to remake. Oh yeah, it's a big project to do it justice. So first to start to kind of redo the Denis map, so me and Denis can work on getting that version up on it. Then I'm going to do my own version, the way I see it for my campaign. That will be very based
Every
on
DM has to have their own version.
Exactly. Yes. So I'm going to talk about that on my campaign. My campaign seminar a bit more, because that I have cool, and it's loose. It's closely based on Gary's version, but there is some differences that I think some people, if a minority will not like them, but a majority will like it. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, there are always haters.
Yeah, so that will be so there will be at least 2 versions of the city coming out, so to speak, and I think we need to. So that's one thing you're working on, and then my Atlas project is making progress. I've done 33 of the 50 maps now, so
you're ahead of the schedule. You're ahead of schedule.
Yeah, oh yeah, but there are also some overview maps, some political maps, and some other cool stuff like that. And I also Gary gave me some cool ideas with his waving flags here with the heraldry. So I'm going to do some cool stuff with that too. That will be as an appendix for the Atlas too. That will come. So, and I've also created the heraldry for the Iron League is now in the heraldry folder. So if you go to my webpage, and you will find the white shield with the Iron League symbol on top of it, or Iron League symbol. So I did that actually on the show while we had the show. So it's in there now. So you can get it. Yep. And that is coming, and then there will be a climate study and Earth update map coming hopefully next week, and that will come a little bit of a study on that one. And my campaign map of the Shield Lands is progressing gently. I will not touch it this week because I want to do probably about 4 or 5 more maps, areas of the Atlas before, so I can keep that slightly ahead of schedule, or on schedule, so to speak. So yeah, so those are the main stuff that I'm working on right now.
Awesome. Thank you all for coming on, man. What a great show again. What a one.
Yeah.
Len was, so if you missed Len earlier, Leomund at AOL.com. Leonard's having a contest. He has a building If you missed it, he built it in Legos, but it's a town on the Wild Coast, and he wants you to say what the building's used for, who's using it, and sketch it out to win another contest prize. If you need details, you can email Leonard, or I can send you some information if you missed it earlier on the show. All right, so here's my bad news. Well, we're on a roll. We're on a roll here. I go on vacation Saturday, family vacation, well earned. So. No streams next. Yeah, my wife. See, I want to stay married, so I gotta. My wife would. So I am streamless starting next week. So here's what we got going on still. So tomorrow night, I'll give you what we got after when I come back. So tomorrow night we finish Shadows of the Halfling Hall Adventure 885 from Troller Games. And that we will definitely finish that. We will also Reaper Miniatures giveaway. I guarantee it tomorrow night. So Reaper, one of our great sponsors, we will have a giveaway tomorrow night. We will finish that. Still first level adventures running through that. That'll be my last stream until either a week from Saturday, where we may do a one offer. But if I run a Greyhawk Kids game when I get back from vacation, I don't stream those. So we may have all our kids playing. But then we'll be back a week from Sunday, and Mike Disney came up with this idea. Gavin 103, Legendary Adventures of Greyhawk. So what I would like to do is discuss adventures like you see Expedition to Barrier Peaks, White Plume Mountain, Temple of Elemental Evil, Shokanth.
Child's Play.
No, Gary, come on, man. No gargoyles. I want ones that how they affected the whole campaign, and some of the items that were, that are momentous from them. What did Expedition to Barrier Peaks do to the technology in the game? Answer that question, if anything. Kind of an in-depth discussion on maybe 6 to 10 of the classic all-time adventures. So if you have one you want to discuss, please, we will do that. I think it'll be a really cool discussion, and that'll be a week from Sunday, August 9th, when I get back. Now, there's a slight chance I'll have a one-off game on Saturday the 8th, but we'll see. Okay, when we get back, next Legends and Lore. Right now, Living Greyhawk, we're going to have the Geoff guys back with another Geoff triad, and we're going to go in depth into what happened in Geoff. So Geoff in depth will be our next Legends and Lore.
I know nothing about that place. So
yes.
Great.
So we're going to go back to that and really get into Jose Ortiz. Is it Sean Merwin is the other one, or is Sean was Keeland? I always get the two mixed up, but we will have them and Geoff, and there'll be another new guest that is 95% on the notation that we will have. That's what we'll do. We're close. Casey, before he went on his honeymoon, we're talking with the On-Wall, and we're talking with the German. That were on that posted on Flanders Geographical Society. He's talking with them too to try and get them on. Were they high folk? Where were they? Where was?
They were in Adri.
Okay, so that's who we're trying to get a hold of as well to get on Legends.
Oh, I love that area.
I'd love to have that discussion. So we're working on it. Casey's leading the charge, so that's being worked on. Then that week after that, just remember. The Saturday night special is back, Saturday, August 15th, where we have all the triads, plus Anna to save their butts. And the name of this title is It's Always Sunny, ... So that's my cryptic title of this adventure. These characters are all 6th level right now, so we'll have Garin, and we'll have Trass and Imri, which is Anna's Ranger Mage. They will all join us back Saturday, August 15th. All right, Virtual Greyhawk Con. The sign-ups start midnight Saturday, August 1st. 4 events. There are 32 events now.
Wow.
Okay. 32 events posted. Please. I know there may be a crazy rush. No problem. There may be a crazy rush for some of these. Hey guys, if there's an issue, and gals, if there's an issue, just come to me. We'll get it worked out. Carlos's game, there's only 5 spots. There's not much I can do about that one. First come, first serve. But there's plenty of other events. Alan Grohe has 2 of his 3 events posted. He has a 3rd one to give us still. We still have some others that have not posted events yet that we're waiting on. Phantom just put his in, so he's in. Greyhawk Reborn hasn't put their games in yet. So there's going to be a ton of games. We're up to like 65 signups too, and I really appreciate it. Do me a favor. When you sign up, if you're going to watch a virtual event, even if you watch it for a few minutes, sign up on that event because we want to get a general idea of the popularity of what we have posted content-wise. You know, you can just hop onto Twitch. We want to see what people are interested in. Like I said, I think Anna's campaign is going to be one of the highlights. You know, her discussion on Friday night. But I'm really excited the direction this is going. I'm working on a couple other sponsors right now. We got Reaper and Troller Games. Hopefully, I may have 1 or 2 more before that. But you know, I work well when I'm on vacation on the phone. By the way, so maybe I'll be able to knock some of them down. So other than that, thank you for a wonderful evening. Please, you got to register first on Virtual Greyhawk Con's TTE site, which I just linked. I'll link that again. And here's okay, there it goes. And the Discord, if you want to get in, we have a great tech team put together as well. If you love the DM, you don't have to have a Twitch channel to GM. You can just use Zoom or Discord rooms to DM. So, thank you. All right, because King Bashman did 10 gift subs, I have to raid Predator's Rejects tonight. He kind of bribed me. Bribery is a good thing, right? So we're going to raid Predator's Rejects and watch his game a little bit. Dennis, thank you. So very much.
Yeah, Dennis.
Gary, thank you so very much.
And Gary.
It was fun. It was a blast.
Thanks,
Thank
Rox.
you everyone who came in chat. I'm sorry we had some issues.
That's okay. It's part of Twitch.
We sorted it out. Yep.
It's part of Twitch. At least I didn't hit the wrong button and the whole thing crashed like it did during GaryCon, if you remember that disaster. So here we go. Here we go. So sit tight. See you tomorrow night for my last stream for a week and a half. So with a nice giveaway and some fun things going on tomorrow night as well. Oh, and there's a big surprise tomorrow night within the first half hour. So please, if you can hop on for this surprise, I want to see someone's face tomorrow. That's all I'm going to say. It's a true. Some of you may know about it, but it's a true surprise that we have in store. So that'll be tomorrow night. All right, I'm going to set up the raid for Predator's Rejects. Look at that. We only went 40 minutes late tonight.
Yeah.
Raid starting up. Hey, Josh, Jay's lost 17 pounds now, so I'm getting there. Hopefully I keep that up. Wow, 47 going in. All right, here we go. I'm going to set it in 10 seconds. I really appreciate all the participation tonight. You guys have been great. Here goes the raid. I'll see you tomorrow night. So, you guys want a new milestone? No, let me get into. There we go.
Milestone?
Yep.
I think Dennis disconnected.
That's okay. He may have.